Products Inspection and Certification Regulations, legal notice number 193 of 2024. The Pest Control Products Labeling, Advertising and Packaging Regulations, legal notice number 194 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, Committee of the Whole, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2024, consideration of His Excellency the President's recommendations.
Committee of the Whole. Lean the other next order.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole, the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, consideration of the National Assembly amendments.
Going to the Committee of the Whole, you know, as usual, what happens when that order is read? The Speaker does not need even to say anything, it's just to stand up. And also Senator Umuma, Senator Onyonka. When you come to the chamber, concentrate on what is happening around.
A longer recess. Honorable members, can we settle down? Honorable members, honorable senators, Senator Halware, would you kindly help whipping? Honorable members, I'd like you to settle down. Honorable Wambua. Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the President's memoranda on the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024.
The first schedule.
I propose the question that the first schedule be approved. Chair, mover.
I would propose the President's recommendation to the first schedule be deleted and replaced thereof with the schedule as contained in the order paper, the first schedule. I beg to move that the President's recommendation to the first schedule be deleted and replaced thereof with the schedule as contained in the order paper. And this is necessitated by the presidential memorandum contained a recommendation to reduce division of revenue to 380 billion. But that was not that position was not approved by both houses. A mediated position of 387.425 was approved, which now CARA is a subset of DORA, necessitating the schedules to be amended in order to reflect not only the presidential memorandum, however, also the CARA as passed by both houses. The schedules were based on the allocation of 400.01 billion as passed by both houses. And now with the amendment and reduction from 400.01, we could not accommodate the presidential recommendation of 380, but a mediated position of 387 necessitated the changes that, which is still a reduction because the schedule that was sent with the presidential memorandum was the schedule that was contained in the 400.01.
Honorable Senators, I determine that the nature of this amendment does not fully accommodate the President's memoranda to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024. I propose the question that the first schedule be amended as proposed by the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the, oh, sorry, Madam Speaker. Why is Senator Eddy irritated in the morning? Madam Speaker, I concur with the committee's mediation that the counties get 387 billion, Madam Speaker. And you remember last year, the counties got 385 billion. So we have added 2 billion to counties. It should be clear, Madam Speaker, because many people outside there are saying the counties receive reduction. It is not true. We have increased 2 billion from last financial year, Madam Speaker, from 385 billion to 387 billion. I can see Nandi in the proposed memorandum from the President reconsideration was Nandi was going to get 7.1 billion. But after the mediation of both National and the Senate, Nandi has increased to 7.3 billion, which is very significant. So this replacement of the first schedule of increment of 387 billion is welcome, Madam Speaker, and I urge members to support because this is an increment of 2 billion to counties through equitable shareable revenue. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Chairperson. I see the mover is smiling broadly because he knows I'm happy to do this. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I support the proposal by the committee. And what members need to understand is that in this sitting and on this bill, Madam Chair, we are being called upon to defeat the presidential memorandum. That's exactly what we're being called upon to do. I see Senator Cherargei trying to sugarcoat the issue, but the truth of the matter is that we are being called upon to defeat the presidential memorandum that has reduced the allocation to counties from 400 billion to 380 billion. We are saying we agree with the mediation committees, mediation committee of the Senate and the National Assembly, that the figure be settled at 387 billion Kenya shillings. Madam Chair, I have looked at the schedule and I want to assure the great people of Kitui County that we are in good standing. That in fact, having checked at the schedule, it appears to me that once we pass the conditional allocations, including donor funding, Kitui County will get an upwards of 12 billion, almost 13 billion. For now, in the equitable share, we already have more than 10 billion Kenya shillings. I'm happy that Kitui County, because I speak for Kitui County, Madam Chair, before I can speak for anyone else, that Kitui County is among the only 9 counties in this country that is getting more than 10 billion shillings in equitable share. And so I call upon the governor of Kitui County to be ready to receive this money and roll out projects for the benefit of our people. And just to remind our colleagues again, to turn up in large numbers in the afternoon when we do division to make sure that we defeat the presidential memorandum. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Khalwale.
Yes, Madam Chair, I thank you. And like Senator Wambua has said, the mediation committee and indeed the committee of this House on Finance have done the unthinkable, that we can all unanimously ask this Senate to defeat the president's desire. The president had wanted it to be at 385, and these 2 great committees are saying, no, let us defeat the president. We make sure that the money is increased to 387. We are sending a clear message to those people who have been peddling lies that this parliament is captured by the executive. It's not true. If we had been captured, we would not have moved to defeat the presidential memorandum. And because defeat of the presidential memorandum requires a whopping 32 delegations, it shows the resolve of this House, collective, to make sure that devolution succeeds. Having said this, Madam Chair, I know you come from the delegation of Kisumu. It should disturb the people of Kakamega that Kisumu's delegation has fought and is able to get 8.4 billion. And on the other hand, the delegation of Kakamega has gotten 12.98 billion. It must be a cause for shame in the thinking and mind of the governor of Kakamega that if you go to Kisumu, Professor Nyong'o, who has got only 2/3 of what Kakamega gets, has done the transformation of Kisumu that we see today. The governor of Kakamega must pull up his socks. He has 12.98 billion shillings, and when you go, you compare to what Kisumu has done. This is a lesson, Madam Speaker, that professionals who know nothing about politics, who know nothing about the people, should not be allowed to come and take positions of governor. Professor Nyong'o is successful because he has been on this journey of serving the public for years. But people like the governor of Kakamega, we don't know where he came from. I don't know whether it is something called Ketrako or what. He has come, and he doesn't know he's representing people. With all these billions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you go to a place like Lamu. Lamu, in this schedule, has a paltry 3.2 billion shillings. And my brother, because he's a people's leader, the governor of Lamu, is taking care of the people of Lamu. You go to Lamu by boat, when you cross like this, you go into the island, you see what Governor Timam has done, and you just wish Timam was the governor of Kakamega, Madam Speaker. This is the time political parties and coalitions should rethink who they give nomination certificates when they ask for elections. We are urging the ODM and UDA, that are the biggest parties in this country, to make sure that certificates are not given to non-politicians. Only politicians should be responsible for taking care of our counties. Mr. Speaker, I am glad, Wambua, I am glad that the chairman of my committee is the national party leader of UDM. I want to urge you, Chairman, if you see UDA and ODM joking around, giving certificates to strangers to lead counties, expand your party, give the nomination certificate to politicians so that your party will be the majority party in the country. We can no longer be cheated by coalitions and parties so that we force unpopular, useless people to be in charge of our counties, Madam Speaker. I support.
Senator Eddie.
Madam Speaker, I wanted to add my voice and first of all say that I'm very proud of my chair of Finance and Budget, who was also a co-chair in the mediation that we had. I think it was one of the hardest mediation exercises that we have done because, Madam Speaker, it was very hard to bend the wish of the President. The wish of the President was that the counties get 380 billion in this financial year. And Madam Speaker, through the able leadership of the chair, through the able leadership of the Madam Senator Veronica Maina, through the able leadership of Commissioner Wamatinga, through the able leadership of Edwin Sifuna, through the able leadership of Nyonka, the Senator of Kisii, through the able leadership of yours truly, Eddie Gisheru Okech, we were able to mediate and make sure that we could add 7 billion to counties. But the problem is what the Senator of Kakamega has talked about. Whether this money makes sense to our people. We are fighting so hard as senators to make sure that money go to our grassroots communities. If we didn't fight hard in this mediation, Madam Speaker, Migori County, that is now going to get 8.2 billion in this year, could not have gotten that money. Yet if you go to Migori County, Madam Speaker, The requirement that is needed, Madam Speaker, by law is that we must have at least 30% absorption in development, Madam Speaker. Migori County, in Q1, if you look at the COB report, the county assembly passed a target of 36%. And yet, Madam Speaker, if you look at the last financial year, Madam Speaker, we only had 22% in Migori County going to development. So we must not only pass this and support it, Madam Speaker, but our fight must continue to the extent that we must put fire in the bottom of these governors to make sure that money that we have fought for so hard in Nairobi, money that makes sure that we make sure that goes back to the villages. The Honorable Arun Cherio does not sleep thinking about how we can fight for more money to go to the grassroots, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've seen you tirelessly working in this house and making sure that money can go to the grassroots, Madam Speaker. I have seen my leader of my minority this side, Mazayo, not going even for weekends, trying to talk and follow up in Nairobi. The Honorable Senator Cherargei has fought so much so that money can go to the grassroots. Yet when it goes down to the grassroots, Madam Speaker, you hear about very crazy and very nondescript vote aids in the counties, Madam Speaker, some hospitality, some domestic travels, skyrocketing in our counties, Madam Speaker. So I want us to support this, and I hope that all senators will be here, at least 32 delegations, to make sure that today we pass this particular bill and make sure that money can go to counties. But we have got a lot of work to do in December, January, February, when we are coming to the village, and the governor should know that we are coming to be with you in the villages to make sure that the money we have fought for to come to our villages, the money I've sent to Migori County, must work for the people of Migori County. The money we have sent to Mandera, my able chair, that money must work for the people of Mandera. The money that we have worked for her to go to Isiolo, we have seen the governor of Isiolo always giving us problem here, does not make money work for the people of Isiolo. These 3 months, we are following back this money, Madam Speaker, and we're going to make sure that this money works for our people. With that, Madam Speaker, I support.
Senator Abbas.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the question. First and foremost, I want to commend the committee of the mediation committee for the good work they have done. However, Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, this money is actually a constitutional right for people in the counties. The larger population of this country is in the counties. But the most unfortunate thing, our counterparts in the National Assembly see this money coming from the treasury, exchequer, belongs to them. And every time when we reach the time of budgeting and budget making, we always go for mediation. You know that even now, the other additional fund is still in mediation committee, and I'm a member of that committee, and actually, when you see how these our colleagues are talking, it's a very unfortunate situation. They think that they have all the right to give money to people. This money belongs to Kenyan, the public. It belongs to Kenyans. Everybody is a taxpayer. And therefore, I want to tell the House of the National Assembly, please understand the situation in the counties. This money now has delayed. There are so many pending bills. People have not been paid their rightful money. These contractors have not been paid. The service providers have not been paid. Counties are staff are not getting salaries in time. Doctors are going without salary for some times. Some of them are even killing themselves. So I think this should not be accepted. We want our friends in the National Assembly, honorable members of the Assembly, to understand that this money is constitutionally going to the counties to give services and provide other salaries and everything. And Madam Speaker, actually there's nothing to celebrate because constitutionally the counties are supposed to get more than 15% of the allocations. But now I don't think it's even 15%. It's less than 15%. This is actually the third time, the third county, what do you call it, the third Senate, the third, since the vision started. We're now in 15 years almost. And the money still is getting reduced by the day or by the years instead of increasing it. So I think constitutionally, we must adhere and follow the constitution. We know we have budgetary issues, we have financial issues, the country economy is not very well, but however, it is not to be seen that the counties have been done very fast. What belongs to the counties must be given to the counties. And I wish to tell my governor, Wajir is getting now 9.7 billion. Hopefully, he will be able to use it prudently and pay. I know that we have so many Benny bills, about 7 billion shillings a Benny bill, and I will ask the governor to clear people's money. Thank you so much, and I support.
Senator Onyonka.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, Chair, I would like to sincerely congratulate the mediation team that sat down and frequently we were having a lot of push and pull, but I want to thank my chair, Honorable Robert, who has actually become an elder statesman in the way he's been carrying himself and the way he's managing our misbehavior sometimes. I want to say that it is interesting to see what we are handling. Madam Chair, if you went and looked at the amount of money that county governments are getting and you look at what is happening on the ground and you follow up to see whether this money is working.
Yes, what's your point of order?
Madam Chair, I rise on standing order number 105. Did you hear the Senator of Kisii refer to Senator Ali Roba as an elder? Mr. Speaker, how can a 48-year-old young man compete with my rights as the only elder in this house? Is he in order to mislead the country that a 40-year-old fellow can be an elder in the Republic of Kenya? Where would he get the wisdom to measure to the qualities of being an elder?
Senator Onyonka, might you have misused the word elder? Please explain.
Madam Chair.
Let the point of order be responded.
Madam Chair, unfortunately, Honorable, my leader and my friend, brother, Honorable Halwale thinks that you become wise and elderly and smart if you are old. It has nothing to do with age. It has a lot to do with the wisdom, the capacity, and the ability for this individual to handle complex and indeed very serious national matters. That gives him the credibility to gleefully accept that title. Madam Chair, I wanted to say that without wasting a lot of time, I realized that Kisii County has actually received the amount of money which is very close to what we received last year. Madam Chair, when we were having the mediation, I felt that the National Assembly should have given us more space so that we could actually remain at the 400 billion that we were. Feeling is that on consultation and discussion, as I said, with the teams from the budget committee where I sit and the mediation committee where I was sitting, it was generally agreed by our colleagues that we will accept half a loaf than rejecting everything, which made sense because we didn't want to have the government shut down. Madam Chair, my request to the presidency is that the executive made various promises during the elections. One of the promises they made is that they were going to devolve functions, and these functions were going to be followed by the resources which would make these functions operational. So far, we are at 2.5 years, and that hasn't happened. I hope that with these discussions which are going on, and particularly with this thing we call broad-based government, I hope that there will be a possibility that we will agree that we are actually going to persuade government, to persuade the presidency to devolve those functions which must be devolved. Further to that, Mr. Speaker, Madam Chair, I would like to say that the Ministry of Agriculture should have been devolved fully. I don't think there's a reason why the government should be buying fertilizer and supplying it to people. This should be a county function. Madam Chair, I believe that the housing sector should be handled by the county governments, of course with some interfacing with the national government. Madam Chair, if you look at the health sector, all our health facilities at the county governments are having challenges and problems. The structures that are in place to manage these outfits are overwhelming and disappointing. I hope that this House, the Senate, that will look at what is happening to our country. By the time we sit here next year, Madam Chair, I would hope that we will be able to come up with legislation that is going to, first of all, make sure that county governments receive their funds effectively from the Treasury and the Central Bank, make sure that the county governments and the assemblies are getting their funds so that they are functional. And I would also like to make sure that we can begin engaging other statutory bodies and the constitutional bodies which are mandated to make sure that we start fighting the corruption that is happening in our country, so that if anything, we can even create deterrence. Madam Chair, what is happening in our country is that yes, indeed, Kenyans are taxed heavily. Yes, the money is actually being collected. And yes, money is going to the national government and is going to the county governments. And yet, when you look at whether there has been any effective utilization of these funds, you find that it's only a few counties that are success stories. I would like to especially congratulate the governor of Murang'a. I don't know whether he's doing well because he was in the National Assembly and he was in the Senate after that. Kangata has done very well. His on-source revenue in 1 year has increased from 200 million to about 1.6 billion shillings. But indeed, Madam Chair, I found out why the young man is doing well. He has got wise people. He has got very successful professional people from Murang'a who he has put to be in his team that is known as the team of advisors on economic and political development of Murang'a. And the problem we are facing, some of us, Madam Chair, is that some of our counties, you will find that we have got challenges. My county, Kisii, and I've been saying this, and I say it with a lot of humility, Madam Chair, is that Kisii County has been receiving money from the Exchequer, but the governor has been telling the voters that the government never sends any money. Kisii County last year received about 12.6 billion shillings, and this year they are going to receive literally nearly the same amount of money.
Senator Onyonka,
The scenario that you've got,
can I
yes.
request that you wind up?
Yes, the scenario that you've got, Madam Chair, is that even when Kisii County received that money in the CRF account, Kisii County has got 6.5 billion shillings, which is not being utilized to do anything. These are the challenges that we must look at. These are the issues we must observe to make sure that even when we are fighting for the national government to give us more money to go to the county governments, the governors must be answerable, must be responsible, and must know that the people who they serve expect more and expect better all the time. Madam Chair, with those many remarks, I support.
Honorable members, allow me to allow us to let Senator Onyonka be the last person to speak on this, unless there is a dissenting voice. I'm requesting that those who have not spoken to just bear with us. You can speak when we discuss when we move to the second schedule. So bear with me. I'll give you the first opportunity for those who have not spoken when it comes to the second schedule amendments. I hope that is fine. I now put the question that the first schedule be amended as proposed by the Chair, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, division at the end. We will now proceed to consider the second schedule, which is a consequential amendment to the first schedule.
The second schedule.
I propose the question that the second schedule be approved. Mover.
Madam Speaker, I propose that the second schedule be amended by deleting the second schedule and replacing with the second schedule as published in the order paper, which is a consequential amendment arising from the first schedule as proposed earlier. And this covers the ceilings for the executive and county assemblies. And considering that the shareable revenue has reduced from 400.01 to 387.425, which is just 2 billion difference between 385.425 of 2023-2024. The committee had considered the ceilings as covered in 2023-2024, and we have amended that ceiling to reflect inflationary percentage of about 4% in order to make sure that there is marginal consideration from the extra 2 billion that we got, net of what was given as one-off by the Senate and the car reimbursement considerations that were given. Madam Speaker, that now reflects the current shareable revenue of 387 and what is contained in the first schedule, and that considered between the county assemblies and the county executive as ceilings as published. I propose for the amendment of the second schedule as published in the order paper. Thank you.
I propose the question that the second schedule be amended as proposed by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Senator Mutinda. Honorable members, I'd like us to limit this debate to not more than 3 minutes per speaker. Thank you very much. Senator Mutinda.
Oh, you've resumed the debate, eh?
Comment on the second schedule. Do you have comments, or do you want somebody else to go?
Madam Speaker, yes, I would maybe give my very few comments, allowing me to start from really appreciating the mediation committee that really looked at this particular process and were able to come to a positive conclusion as far as the additional 2 billion is concerned, Madam Speaker. As far as the schedule is concerned, Madam Speaker, as a committee, in our adoption of the report, we were able to quickly agree that the county assembly, as they have always appeared in our committee, they have always stated the needs that they have, and most of these needs are very, very basic and understandable, especially when it comes to matters, motor vehicle mobility issues, the infrastructure, repair and maintenance, Madam Speaker. And so we still did consideration and considering also 4% inflation cost that is there currently. And so that is how we were able to agree on the figures that are in place. And since we're looking forward also to have the autonomy bill that is going to give the county assembly independence to be able to run their affairs, then they should be able to ensure also out of the austerity measures that are in place, they should be able to cut on costs, especially the travel costs that are not really necessary when it comes to sometimes these issues of capacity building forth and back, so that they can be able to restrain themselves within the budgets that have been approved and allocated to them. So I support, Madam Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Madam Chair, let me make some brief comments on these amendments which are being proposed. We're here because of the problem that we put ourselves in, where we passed 400 billion, because I strongly believe that form should always follow functions and money should go to counties.
And it was completely unprecedented that we were discussing the issue of amendment of ADORA, yet there was still a law which is in existence, and the president's refusal to sign the CARA, based reducing the money to 380 without even having a law that was supporting the 380 was completely unprecedented and unheard of. But this is Kenya, and we are faced with different challenges. We have now found ourselves here where we need a minimum of 32 senators, 2/3, as per the Constitution, to be able to pass these amendments. Because essentially what we're doing is we're overturning the veto of the president. So my first plea is that all senators should now come here today, this afternoon, so that we can send this money to counties. If your senator is not here today, the residents of the 47 counties just know they are the ones who are denying you money. You know, it is important that we send this money. I would wish that we were sending 400 billion, but it is what it is. We got 387 billion, which is 7 billion more than the 380 that the president was proposing. It is less by 13 billion of what we are proposing, but as it is, we have to send money. So today, I want to plead to all the senators that this is our duty. We are here to send money. We will call for accountability of this money. But if we are not here to send the money to the counties, then when projects stall, when people are not paid their money, you can blame us, the senators. Having said that, we have passed a motion in this House to make sure that we pay all pending bills, that all pending bills are paid. I really would like to plead to the governors that the Senate pronounces itself. I wish you could give me a little bit more time, please. But no, she just turned on the light. Because this is very important. Because, Madam Chair, if we don't have senators here today, this bill collapses. You know, it collapses. I wasn't here when he was speaking, but let me just speak from my mind and from my heart. It is imperative. It is imperative. All pending bills must be the first charge of account. You know, we have projects now in our counties for 2022-2023, which are being launched by governors. 2022-2023, and we are now discussing of 2024-2025. There are pending bills that have not been paid. So today, I can tell you, if your senator is not here to pass this bill, today, you will not get money. You will wait until we come back after Christmas. Way back in February. So ask yourself one question. So pick up your phone, call your senator, tell them, go to the House, come, make sure you express your views and you vote for this bill to go. You know, at times we just have to be brutal and we say what it is. So if money doesn't go to the counties, it is us, your senator, who would have denied you that money. So I really would like to request that you're here. Now, coming into the other issue, we have challenges, and I think it's about time that we now recognize and realize the fact that we are here as legislators. We're not here to implement projects on the ground. We have this fight on the RMLF, which is money that ought to go to the counties, that the National Assembly is threatening even to kill this CARA after we pass it, because they want the RMLF, which is an additional grant or additional allocations bill. Let us separate, and we deal with oranges and oranges, not oranges and bananas. Right now, we are just dividing our share of the shareable revenue among the 47 counties. So I want to also to plead to our colleagues in the National Assembly that when this thing comes, please.
Senator Wafula, nilikuongeza.
Honorable Chair, I want to take this auspicious moment to thank you, to appreciate the committee, the mediation committee, for the job well done to ensure that the aspiration of the founding fathers of this new constitution to bolster and improve devolution is hastened and protected, Honorable Chair. I want, on behalf of the great people of Bungoma, to thank Mheshimiwa Roba and the team for showing leadership and commitment to what Kenyans expect out of Senate. Honorable Chair, I've done a little bit of comparison of the resources that are coming to several counties of the Republic. Honorable Chair, in the financial year 2023-2024, my neighbor Trans Nzoia County got 7.499823 billion shillings. On the memorandum from the executive, Trans Nzoia County was expected to get 7.389511 billion. That was a reduction of the resources that were going to Trans Nzoia County. In these amendments, through the Senate and the leadership of the mediation committee, Trans Nzoia is going to get 7.540500 billion shillings. That is an increment from the previous financial year, Honorable Chair. In my neighboring county, Busia, financial year 2023-2024, Busia County got 7.475 billion. In the memorandum from the executive, there was going to be a reduction to 7.368 billion. But Senate stood its grounds and ensured our neighbor, Busia, gets 7.514 billion. Let me narrow down to the great people of Bungoma. Financial year 2023, Bungoma got 11.11 billion. The memorandum expected us to get 10.952 billion. And I'm very clear, and I was clear, and I will always be clear, Honorable Chair, that Bungoma deserves more. And through the committee, Bungoma gets 11.170 billion shillings. I want to speak to the great people of Bungoma that this increment is not meant for entertainment. This increment is not meant to travel as tourists. This increment is meant to pay casuals who have down their tools today, to pay pending bills for contractors who have issued ultimatum, to complete stalled projects, to ensure markets have water, electricity, and fences, to ensure medicines are available in our dispensaries. Industrial parks are done. The youth get money for projects and not only a policy which cannot be consumed in bank accounts, Honorable Chair. Our scholarship and bursary accounts must be full to pay scholarship and bursary. Where am I saying, Honorable Chair? As we push for an increment in resources, we have to push for accountability. We have to push for transparency. We have to push for public participation to ensure the great people of Kenya, and in particular, the great people of Bungoma, get value for their money. Honorable Chair, as I am speaking, the casuals of Bungoma from July to this December have not earned their monies. We want these monies to go so that they pay casuals. We want CHPs of Bungoma to be paid. And I want Senate to pronounce itself very clearly. Either CHPs are going to be paid by the national government, or CHPs are going to be paid fully by the county government. But this merry-go-round will not be tolerated.
Senator Kio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I also stand to support the proposed changes in the second schedule on the ceilings to the two arms of government, that is the executive and the assemblies in the county governments. Madam Speaker, I would want to really today just appeal to the county governments, the 47 county governments in Kenya, especially the governors and the county speakers. Now, Speaker, these two leaders must realize that the Constitution, which is the supreme law, recognizes that a county government is only complete when the two arms are functional, the assembly and the executive. But, Madam Speaker, there is a lot of push and shove in a lot of the county governments between the executive and the assembly. I want to call upon governors and speakers of assemblies to realize that they are interdependent, that they need each other to be able to deliver services to the people in the counties. Madam Speaker, I want to ask especially the governors to realize that the assemblies are not an extension of the executives, that the assemblies have their own budgets. They have their own budgets to do their own things. And so if assemblies are passed and approved budgets for them to carry out certain functions, it's only fair that they are not interfered with as they undertake their functions within the law and within their budgets. Madam Speaker, I say this because at the end of the day, once the assemblies are done implementing their budgets and they have made mistakes, they would definitely appear before the Senate Standing Committee on Public Accounts and they answer to their questions. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I want to specifically appeal to the Governor of Kitui County and the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui to cross ranks and agree to work harmoniously for the benefit of the people of Kitui County. Madam I say this because I know there is a tiff now on the implementation of a budget by the County Assembly of Kitui. They should be allowed to just implement their budget, to do what they have budgeted to do. If there are mistakes in the implementation of their own budget, then those mistakes will be corrected through the right procedure. The use of the county resources for the construction of county... Madam Speaker, can I get a minute?
1 minute, Kio, quickly.
Charage, you know, when you, Senator Jariot, when you called me last night, you told me I must be here. I came here to debate, not to be seen, and to comment and defeat the presidential memorandum. That's what you told me to do. You told me to come here and defeat the presidential memorandum. That's what I'm doing. So just in conclusion, Madam Chair, just to appeal to the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui and the Governor of Kitui County to cross ranks and just work harmoniously to deliver services to the people of Kitui County. We need those services. We need the Assembly to be vibrant. We need the Executive to be vibrant. The two can work together and the people of Kitui will realize benefits. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Shakila.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to support the amendments. Madam Chair, it is important as a Senate, we know we are here to protect the counties and the devolution. And since it has been said that people should be here this afternoon to pass these amendments, it is imperative and it is very important for the whips to do their jobs, because we have whip offices which they're supposed to whip the members to ensure that they are in the house wherever they are required. So I want to urge the whips to make sure they whip their members who are here in the office and to make sure that all the members are here to pass this bill so that the money goes down to the counties before we close this house. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, I put the question that the second schedule be amended as proposed by the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Division will be at a later time when we have the full delegations. We require 2/3 on this issue. We have now concluded, and we will proceed to the consideration of the next bill, and I wish to invite Senator Sigei to come.
Honorable members, we are now considering the National Assembly amendments to the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023. And the chairperson is present, so members call, yes.
National Assembly Amendment to Clause 3.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua, to move.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendments by the National Assembly. And so I'm asking the honorable senators to approve the bill as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 3 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 3 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly Amendment to Clause 7.
I call upon Senator Wambua, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. What's your point of order, Senator Cherargei?
Chair, I can see the chair is talking about you didn't pass through the long title and clause number 2. You just wanted straight to clause number 3 and 7.
Senator Cherargei,
And I wanted
we
to
are
make a
progressing.
comment on
We've just started with clause 3. We will go to 7, 11, 14, 17, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I run all through to the one you are making reference to is on the long title, right?
Okay.
And that is clause 2, and long title and schedule is after clause 55.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
You will be reached.
Okay.
And
thank
I can
you.
assure you the chair will see you and will give you an opportunity to comment. Chairperson, proceed to move clause 7 amendment.
Thank you very much. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendments by the National Assembly to Clause 7. I urge members to approve the amendment.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 7 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 7 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly Amendment to Clause 11.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Mr. Chair, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendments by the National Assembly to Clause 11, and I urge members to approve the bill as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 11 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 11 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly Amendment to Clause 14.
Chairperson, Senator Wambua, please proceed. Clause 14. 14.
14. Yeah. Thank you, the chairperson. I would beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment by the National Assembly to Clause 14, and I'm asking honorable members to approve the amendment.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 14 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 14 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly Amendment to Clause 17.
Senator Wambua.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to Clause 17 by the National Assembly. I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 17 be approved, and honorable senators, I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to Clause 17 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly Amendment to Clause 23.
Senator Wambua, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendments by the National Assembly to clause 17. I request members to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 17 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 23, to clause 23 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 24.
Senator Ombua.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment by the National Assembly to clause number 24, and I request honorable senators to approve the amendment.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 24 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 24 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 25.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Ombua, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 25 by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 25 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 25 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 26.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I beg to move that the Committee on Agriculture has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 26 by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 26 be approved, and put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 26 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 27.
Senator Wambua Kio, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I wish to move that the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 27 by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 27 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 27 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 28.
Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment by the National Assembly to clause number 28, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 28 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 28 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 29.
I call upon the mover to move the amendment. Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 29 of the bill by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 29 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 29 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 30.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with a proposed amendment to clause 30 by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 30 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 30 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 32.
The chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause 32, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the proposed amendment.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 32 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 32 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendments to clause 33.
Senator Wambua, please proceed to.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 33 by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 33 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 33 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 34.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 34 of the bill by the National Assembly. I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable senators, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 34 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 34 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 35.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 35 by the National Assembly, and I want to ask honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 35 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 35 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 36.
Senator Wambua.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 36 of the bill by the National Assembly, and I want to request honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 36 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 36 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 37.
Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause 37. I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 37 be approved, and put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 37 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 38.
Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause 38. And I'm asking honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 38 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 38 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 39.
Senator Wambua, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause number 39, and I'm asking the House to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 39 be approved, and put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 39 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 42.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Honorable Chairperson, the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause 42 of the bill, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 42 of the bill be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 42 of the bill be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 45.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Honorable Chairperson, the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on their proposed amendment to clause 45 of the bill, and I'm asking honorable senators to approve the proposed amendment to the clause.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 45 be approved, and put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 45 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 46.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on their proposed amendment to clause 46 of the bill. I'm requesting the Senate to approve the proposed amendment.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 46 be approved, and put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 46 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 47.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to clause 47 by the National Assembly, and I want to ask the House to approve the proposed amendment.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 47 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 47 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 49.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Kio Wambua.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause 49. I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the proposed amendment.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 49 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 49 be approved. Division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 55.
I call upon Senator Wambua, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to clause 55. I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 55 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 55 be approved, division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to the first schedule.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the proposed amendment to the first schedule of the bill by the National Assembly, and I'm asking honorable senators to pass the first schedule as amended.
I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to the first schedule be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly to the question that the National Assembly amendment to the first schedule be approved, division at the end.
National Assembly amendment to clause 2.
I call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with a proposed amendment to clause 2 by the National Assembly, and I'm requesting honorable senators to approve the clause as amended.
Senator Cherargei, you want to comment on this?
Yes.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Before you comment, I'll have to propose the question. So I'll allow you, once I propose the question, to comment on the National Assembly amendment to clause 2. And honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 2 be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to clause 2 be approved, division at the end. Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to make two comments to this proposal. One is that I want also to call upon the Senate, the National Assembly, that the way we are supersonic in agreeing with the National Assembly amendments, they should also extend the same goodwill. Because on many occasions, Mr. Speaker, we have been able to make amendments to a number of legislations, but National Assembly will go and sabotage. And you can see even the condescending attitude of even the National Assembly leadership. I want to call upon, in the same spirit where the Senate has extended and worked quickly on this Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023. There are many. I could not believe that there are more than 55 amended clauses from the National Assembly that the Senate has agreed in a concurrent manner. Unlike the way they are doing with CARA, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, sir, where they are holding us by ransom in CARA, Mr. Speaker, where they are telling us if you don't pass CARA, if you don't tell governors to withdraw a court case on road maintenance levy fund that is around 11 billion, Mr. Chairman, they will not pass CARA. I want to tell the National Assembly they should extend the good faith the way we do with their 55 amended clauses to the Cotton Bill, Mr. Chair. Secondly, I want to agree with the clause number 2, where the interpretation and the meaning of cotton industry, the meaning of processing, ginning, cotton plant, collection centers, spinning, because now these are cotton industry. So the definition should be broad so that it can agree with growers, it can agree with ginners, it can agree with spinners, cotton value addition, and marketers. Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, you know Elgeyo Marakwet County and Kisumu and part of Nyanza grow cotton. because they have black cotton. So, and one of the biggest, Mr. Chair, you remember Rivertex was given more than 4 billion from the Indian government as a grant to revive Rivertex in making local clothing. We had Kikomi, which died. I think, Mr. Chair, with the passage of this bill, it will give opportunity to have locally made garments and clothes. Because as we talk, Kenya has become a mitumba country. Everything we import, from undergarments, shoes, socks, clothes, vests, undergarments, Mr. Chair, ties. Mr. Speaker, can you believe this country is a mitumba country? Everything, even my worries, even our thinking is becoming mitumba in terms of many things, Chair. Even the importation of clothes, we are importing even toothpicks. I know toothpicks mean other things in some lingo with the young people, but we are importing even toothpicks, even the matchsticks, Mr. Chairperson. So I hope the passage of this cotton industry development bill will revolutionize the issue of garments and clothes. You know Kikotex, that they had been developed in Kitui County, but the former governor allegedly decided to hit it to the ground. We have been told we have nowadays a line, Mr. Chair, in Mosoria town called Narcotex, where it is just a big building that the Governor Sang is busy running down the entire county. He has put more than 300 million to that project in Narcotex in Mosoria Township. It is not functional. Mr. Chair, this passage of this bill should be very important, and I agree with the expansion in terms of the definition, so that we have a cotton industry that will factor in many things and we stop. I know when I talk about mitumba importation, Mr. Chair, I know people in Kikomba and my supplier of mitumba called RAS in Eldoret would be worried that we are saying we block or ban mitumba. We are not banning mitumba. What we are saying is that let us have complementarily, Chair, because so that when I walk out of there, I don't want people in Kigomba, in Toy Market will say, Senator Cherargei say we ban mitumba. No, we want to improve the efficiency and allow competitiveness so that we have locally made clothes and we have mitumba, so that we also give employment to farmers of cotton so that they can plant cotton and have a place to sell. Chair, with that indulgence, I support these amendments. 55 as National Assembly extend the same goodwill when we are doing with this person. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Cherargei. I think with that confirmation, your supplier, Mr. Ras, is going to be very happy at the end of the day. Senator Party Leader Roba, make your comments, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support this bill and the amendments that were proposed by our able colleague, Senator Wambua. You know, the statement, very informative statement of Senator Cherargei, notwithstanding of, you know, people have viewed him as a very sophisticated senator, dressing very well, but he has said the source of the dressing in terms of supporting the economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to support, and support because currently, when this government came into being, and always it's important that we give credit where it is due. When this government came into being, we were importers of sugar in large masses, and there has been cartels of sugar, importation of sugar, and today we are turning into net exporters of sugar because of revival of sugar industries. Now, the coming into force of this bill is going to give an excellent opportunity for this government to start turning our farmers into productive farmlands driven by market economy, facilitated in the same way the sugar industry has been facilitated. The cotton industry can also be facilitated to be able to take shape very firmly, and also revival of some of the industries that have gone down, in order to make sure that we turn our economy to production in economy rather than importing economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to support.
Thank you, Senator Ali Roba. So let's move to the next clause.
National Assembly amendment to the long title.
I call upon Senator Wambua Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee has considered and agreed with the National Assembly on the proposed amendment to the long title, and I'm asking honorable senators to approve the long title as amended.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendment to the long title be approved, and I put the question that the National Assembly amendment to the long title be approved. Division at the end. Honorable members, we do not have the requisite numbers to sit or rather report, and yes, to go to division, sorry. But then we will report on the earlier one, which we did on the Kara, and also we will report on the cotton industry. Then we will later go for division. Now I will ask the mover to report on the progress report of the Committee of the Whole on the consideration of the President's Memorandum on the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, that is CARA, Senate Bills number 25 of 2025. I'll call upon the mover, Senator Ali Roba, to move.
Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order number 153, I beg to move that the committee do report progress on the consideration of County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, and seek leave to sit again this afternoon.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the committee do report on its consideration of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2024, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. We will also proceed to report progress on we will do a report on the progress of the Committee of the Whole on the consideration of the National Assembly amendment to the Cotton Industry and Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, and I call upon the mover, Senator Wambua, to move.
Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order number 153 of the Senate Standing Orders, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate on its consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
Honorable members, I will now put the question, which is that the committee do report to the Senate on its consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. For clarity, honorable members, sitting again tomorrow is actually this afternoon. Let's rise.
Honorable
Now, honorable members, we now proceed to also do further report on this, and I'll call upon the mover, the chairperson, sorry, to report progress. Senator Cherargei, this is on county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2024.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report progress that the Committee of the Whole has considered the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2024, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
I call upon the mover to report, Senator Ali Roba.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report, and I request Senator Wambua to second.
Senator Wambua, please proceed to second.
Mr. Speaker, I do second.
Honorable members, I now will propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report, and I put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as of that opinion say aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. Move to report progress on the second bill. This is Cotton Industry and Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023. I will call upon the chairperson, Senator Cherargei, to report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report progress that the Committee of the Whole has considered the National Assembly amendments to the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, and seeks leave to sit again, I don't know whether to say tomorrow or this afternoon, in the next session. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I call upon the mover, Senator Wambua.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report, and I request the Honorable Senator Governor Captain Ali Roba EGH to second.
You forgot to add the title party leader. Please proceed.
Party leader to the title.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I second.
Now, I will propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report, and I will put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Now, honorable members, the honorable chairperson of Finance and Budget, Senator Ali Roba, has got a paper to lay. You may proceed to lay the paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 4th December 2024, the County Government Equitable Share Cash Disbursement Schedule for financial year 2024-2025. I beg to lay.
Honorable members, pursuant to Standing Order 189-2 that provides, for the benefit of members, I'll read, that upon being laid before the Senate, the cash disbursement schedule shall be committed to the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget to deliberate upon and table a report containing its recommendations on the cash disbursement schedule within 7 days. I therefore commit the report that has just been tabled to the Committee on Finance and Budget for deliberation and reporting at the opportune time. Senator Ali Roba, the chairperson, you of course are aware of the calendar of the House that is coming to an end. So even as you retreat to consider the cash disbursement schedule, keep in mind the timelines and the schedule of the House so that you are able to deal with it in good time and to ensure that that facilitates implementation within the schedule as required. Thank you. Before we go back to the order, I've got messages to deliver. And, Honorable Senators, this is a message from the National Assembly, passage of the Technopolis Bill, National Assembly Bills number 6 of 2024. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Technopolis Bill, National Assembly Bills number 6 of 2024. The message, dated Friday, 29th November 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Monday, 2nd December 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Technopolis Bill, National Assembly Bills number 6 of 2024 was published via the Kenya Gazette, Supplement number 30 of 2nd February 2024, as a bill seeking to inter alia provide a framework for the establishment, development and management of Technopolis in the country, and whereas the National Assembly considered and passed the said bill with amendments on Tuesday, 19th of November 2024, and in the form attached herewith, now therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110, Sub-Article 4 of the Constitution and Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, Standing Order number 163 requires that a bill which originates in the National Assembly to be processed by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order number 144. At an appropriate time in this sitting, I will direct that the Technopolis Bill, National Assembly Bills number 6 of 2024 be read a first time as listed in the order paper. I thank you. Honorable members, I still have a further message to communicate. This is also a message from the National Assembly. Passage of the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, National Assembly Bills number 54 of 2022. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, National Assembly Bills number 54 of 2022. The message dated Friday, 29th November 2024 was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Monday, 2nd of December 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 54 of 2022, was published via the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 184 of 10th November 2022 as the Kenya Drugs Authority Bill 2022 and passed by the National Assembly with amendments on 7th November 2024 as a bill seeking to establish a comprehensive legal framework for the regulation of health products and technologies to safeguard public health through development of a regulatory system to ensure safety, quality, efficacy, effectiveness, and performance of health products, to establish the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority and for connected purposes. And whereas on Thursday, 7th of November 2024, the National Assembly considered the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, National Assembly Bills number 54 of 2022, and passed it with amendments in the form attached herewith. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110 of the Constitution and Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. End of quote. Honorable Senators, Standing Order number 163 requires that a bill which originates in the National Assembly be processed by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order number 144. At an appropriate time today, I will direct that the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, National Assembly Bills number 54 of 2022, be read a first time as listed in the order paper. I thank you. And lastly, honorable members, a further message from the National Assembly with regard to the passage of the Community Health Promoters Bill, National Assembly Bills number 53 of 2022. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Community Health Promoters Bill, National Assembly Bills number 53 of 2022. The message dated Friday, 29th of November 2024 was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Monday, 2nd of December 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message, and I quote, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Community Health Promoters Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2022, was published via the Kenya Gazette, Supplement number 183, on 10th November 2022 as the Community Health Workers Bill 2022 to regulate the practice of community health promoters by making provisions for training and registration of community health promoters and the establishment of the Community Health Promoters Council. And whereas the National Assembly considered the said bill and passed it with amendments on Wednesday, 20th November 2024 in the form attached hereto. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110, Sub-Article 4 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. End of quote. Honorable Senators, Standing Order number 163 requires that a bill which originates in the National Assembly be processed by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order number 144. At an appropriate time today, I will direct that the Community Health Promoters Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2022, be read a first time as listed in the order paper. I thank you, Honorable Senators. Clerk, let us call the next order.
Order number 10, motion, consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya. Resumption of debate.
Honorable members, this is a resumption of debate that was interrupted on Tuesday, 12th of November 2024. And at the close of that sitting on that day, the Honorable Senator Dr. Boni Halwale was on the floor, and he has got a balance of 7 minutes to conclude on his contribution. In the absence of Senator Boni Halwale, we take the assumption that he has forfeited the available 7 minutes, and I will therefore allow the honorable members who are present and keen on contributing to proceed. I will start with Senator Cherargei Samson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to support this proposed motion to consolidate bursaries, Mr. Speaker, sir. You know, right to quality and basic education should be a basic right to every Kenyan wherever they are. In fact, Mr. Speaker, as a country, we should be pushing for free education right away from ECD, primary, secondary to university. Other countries have done before, Mr. Speaker, sir. Even with the free primary education that was initiated in 2003 by President Kibaki's government, we must ensure that access to quality education is a basic right of every Kenyan child. Mr. Speaker, the rights of the child as enshrined in the Constitution is very clear that on many occasions, apart from right to family, right to name and nationality from birth under Article 53, the free and compulsory basic education as per Article 53, right to basic nutrition, shelter, and health care, and of course to be protected from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, all forms of violence, inhuman treatment, punishment, and sadias. Of course, another right under Article 53 is right to parental care and protection, and of course not to be detained as the last whenever they commit an offense. So, Mr. Speaker, the reading of Article 53 is that access to education, to basic education, is a basic human right. And therefore, as a country, we should come up. And I'm happy this motion on access to education, bursary to be consolidated. So, Speaker, as we talk today, the issue of bursary has become political tokenism, where people who have been elected give bursaries to their cronies and their campaigners, Mr. Speaker, sir. You realize that under NGCDF,
National Government CDF's Constituent Development Fund, they are giving out bursary. You go to NGAF, that is run by women reps, are giving bursary. You go to county governments, are giving bursary. Yet you walk around, there are a number of students who cannot access education, that stay at home because they lack school fees, Mr. Speaker. I think as a country, we must bite the bullet and agree that access, we must agree, Mr. Speaker, that let us consolidate all bursary. Let our children just work to our learning institutions and learn for free. So that we stop this political tokenism, so that we stop, Mr. Speaker, this issue of using bursary as a campaign tool or a political tokenism by elected leaders, Mr. Speaker. You look at CDF, which is unconstitutionally, Mr. Speaker, the CDF that members of National Assembly are working around with is unconstitutional kitty. Even the Supreme Court and the courts of Kenya have ruled that CDF is unconstitutional and it should remain so. In fact, after consolidation of bursary funds in this country, Mr. Speaker, we must now consolidate division of revenue to only national government, that is national executive and independent commissioners and institutions, and only to county governments, so that the work of members of parliament, which is defined under Article 93 of being Senate and members of national, is only to oversight. Now there is a conflict of interest, Mr. Speaker, where you are finding members of National Assembly are running CDF kitty. They want to run, you have had even the blackmail, Mr. Speaker, in quotes that they are using against the mediation process of CARA mediation. That is additional funds that is supposed to be given to counties. And you know, World Bank, Mr. Speaker, and other donors, there is 30 billion that is lying that counties should use, Mr. Speaker. But National Assembly are blackmailing by telling the Senate, can you tell Council of Governors to withdraw court case on road maintenance levy fund that is around 11 billion, Mr. Speaker. That is very unfair. This 11 billion, Mr. Speaker, should be given to counties. If you divide that 11 billion again for 7 counties, Mr. Speaker, you are giving around 200 to 300 million per counties, Mr. Speaker, to develop the bitumen standards and tarmac, Mr. Speaker. So I want to ask the committee that is on mediation from the Senate not to even cede an inch. We don't have powers to ask any Kenyan to remove a court case, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we are saying even on this issue of bursary, we are having more than 10.4 million learners in primary school, Mr. Speaker. We are having 3.9 million learners in secondary schools, both in private and public, Mr. Speaker. Let us consolidate the bursary fund, make the free education be available to Kenya. It is possible, Mr. Speaker. In the last budget, we allocated close to 700 billion, Mr. Speaker, approximately 700 billion to education sector. Yet as we talk today, many young men and women, boys and girls cannot access education. Mr. Speaker, you are aware even on this issue of university funding model, and I hope the President working team will come up with a better model that will assist our learners. Mr. Speaker, you and me and a number of senators, every Saturday in September, November, we are always coming out to fundraise for our children to get to universities. Even in this January, we will be other villages, Mr. Speaker, to fundraise Arambes, Mr. Speaker. It is very unfortunate that our boys and girls depend on benevolence, on hospitality, on generosity of members of public to access education in this country. We are undermining Article 53 that provides for basic education to each and every child going into the future. Even, Mr. Speaker, I am aware that the government, through the Ministry of Education, they are supposed to construct 16,000 classrooms, and they should be ready by this December, Mr. Speaker, to allow grade 9 under CBC, competence-based, Mr. Speaker, CBC, competence-based form of education, Mr. Speaker, and we are aware that they need to transit those 16,000. We know there are still challenges of teachers, and I want to thank the President. In the history of this republic, from President Kenyatta Sr., to President Moi, to President Kibaki, to President Uhuru Kenyatta, no president in this republic has ever hired on permanent and pensionable teachers 56,000, Mr. Speaker, than the way President William Ruto has done. Mr. Speaker, the government is going to hire 20,000 interns under the Teacher Service Commission to complement and supplement the rollout of CBC program, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I am sitting today, I have been salamiwad by most of the young people who are 30,000 interns under Public Service Commission, who are interns under Public Service. I have received so many messages, close to 5,000 messages, Mr. Speaker, from over 30,000 interns under Public Service Commission that are requesting, Mr. Speaker, that they need to be transit under permanent and pensionable,
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Sige, what is your point
And,
of order?
Mr. Speaker,
Cherargei, just
Mr.
one
Speaker,
moment.
should we be
Senator
allowing
Cherargei, just
should we
one
be
moment.
allowing a speaker to put a point of order?
Just-
I don't know.
What's your point of order, Senator Sige?
Mr. Speaker, I just heard the Honorable Senator Cherargei making reference to a language that I don't understand. Is in order to make reference to I have been salimiwad when he's, he understands as a ranking member of the House the language that he's supposed to use.
Senator Cherargei, you know very well, Sheng is not part of the parliamentary language. Yes, so please clarify on what you're trying to mean.
No, Mr. Speaker, my apologies. You know this bilingual, and I apologize. I needed to say that the interns, which are more than 30,000 under Public Service Commission, have been sending me text messages. So I withdraw the word salamiwad and replace that I've received messages and have been greeted by 5,000 messages from 30,000 interns under Public Service Commission who are requesting, Mr. Speaker, that they need to be transited under permanent and pensionable, just like their colleagues under junior secondary schools, JSS, Mr. Speaker, where more than 56,000, and that is what I want to appeal to the President. The way he has done with Teacher Service Commission under junior secondary schools, he should also direct the Public Service Commission to observe more than 30 being given stipends to be transferred. And I've been asking a question, Mr. Speaker. Why would you have 30,000 interns being trained, being mentored under Public Service Commission, then throw them on the streets after 6 months, Mr. Speaker? Why don't we start a system where we can observe so that these are people who have understand how the system works and how public service, so that we can bring, Mr. Speaker, a public service in this republic that is of integrity, that is work-oriented, that has good work ethics in delivery of service to Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, number 4 is on the issue of, even as we talk, there is a small animal, there is a dangerous animal that is happening. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of textbooks that is provided to learners, Mr. Speaker. We need to be told under Kenya, when we were growing up, when you read the book, set books, there was a book called Aminata. Mr. Speaker, there is the book called A Man of the People by Chinua Achebe, where you had a famous character, Mwalimu, called Chief Nanga, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, where, Mr. Speaker, a man of the people, is that a man of the people? We don't want to bring a society that looks like a man of the people that was being exposed by Chief Nanga, Mr. Speaker, in A Man of the People by Chinua Achebe. Even in the anti-hills of Savannah and Aminata. We are aware there are a number of schools, Mr. Speaker, that are supposed to be closed because of being non-compliant in providing boarding facilities. We don't want the Ministry of Education to be proactive. We want the Ministry of Education to ensure they are always ahead in time. How comes these schools were operating, yet the quality assurance of Ministry of Education has been there? Yet the Department of Evaluation and Monitoring has been there. It means our children and pupils have been in debt traps. We only react after what happened in Russia, where a number of children were being killed, Mr. Speaker, and a number of schools where boarding facilities are being threatened, Mr. Speaker. So even on the issue of textbooks, there is corruption that is happening, Mr. Speaker. When we were growing up, we used to have Kenya Literature Bureau. Mr. Speaker, we now have what we call KICD, Kenya Institute of Curricular Development. Why don't the KICD publish the textbooks and supply to schools, Mr. Speaker? Why do we have to outsource expensively to independent publishers to supply? And that is why, Mr. Speaker, in grade 9, some of the books that were being supplied to our children under CBC had what we call parental guidance, PG, did not adhere to PG, Mr. Speaker. It was X-rated. And therefore, that is why when you don't have KICD publishing some of these textbooks, so that they sanction and censor some of the things that our children who are in the lowest grade should not learn, Mr. Speaker. You remember the UNAPRO, where even in Kiswahili and Mwalimu, Senator Wakoli of Bungoma will tell you this. Some of the textbooks were having exaggerated explanations in Kiswahili, Mr. Speaker. We need to ask the Ministry of Education to ensure the KICD, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, should be the one writing, publishing, and supplying textbooks to all learners across this country, Mr. Speaker. From ECD, I know it is a devolved function. We have the primary, we have the secondary, and we have the university, Mr. Speaker. Even on this issue of bursary, we need to give bursary to our children in secondary schools and universities, Mr. Speaker. I hope the university funding model will be a student-centered model, Mr. I'm speaking with this when the president understanding state of the nation. You saw, Mr. Speaker, he ordered the functionality of Moi University, where I'm a proud alma-mater, Mr. Speaker. And we want to thank the ministry and the president for those interventions. Most of our universities are in the red. If this university funding model, which is working, is not implemented, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you a number of universities are in the red. Look at Egerton. Look at the Office of the Auditor General report. Most of these universities are in the red, especially after scrapping and allowing all students that are under PSSP, privately sponsored programs, PSSP, Mr. Speaker. A number of a number of students under PSSP, most of the universities were depending on them to run because the funding from the national government was not sufficient to run most of these schools, Mr. Speaker. For example, the disease that is there in Moi University, Mr. Speaker, is because they became a good parent. Moi University is a victim of its own success. The establishment of Maseno University was being done by Moi University. The establishment of Masinde Mulire University was being established by Moi University and being babysat. Kitale, Mr. Speaker, University of Eldoret was being started by Moi University. Bomet University was being done by Moi University. Karatina University was being done by Moi University. The reason Moi University has more than 4 billion Kenya shillings in terms of liability is because they guaranteed most of these constituent universities that we have today. The only solution to Moi University, and I want to advise Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba, or is it Migamba, that the only way to salvage Moi University, even Garissa, Mr. Speaker, the Garissa University that is functional was started by Moi University. The only way to ensure Moi University comes back, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure all liabilities be taken back to the universities that was started by Moi University of 4 billion. Therefore, I have seen under Higher Education Loan Board, all of us were beneficiaries who went through Higher Education Loan Board, unless you studied abroad. But for us who went to public universities in Kenya, our only saving grace was on Higher Education Loan Board, Mr. Speaker. We need to consolidate. Let a Kenyan child walk into university without need to pay school fees, Mr. Speaker. Why should we introduce bands? Band 1, band 2, band 4. Let us go to the chief, a local imam, a priest. If that child is vulnerable, go to school for free. If parents, and I want to advise Kenyan parents, I know this one, Mr. Speaker, especially middle-income parents. Can you believe some of parents in Kenya, the middle income, are paying close to 200,000 to 300,000 per semester for a child in ECD. But they don't want to pay 50,000 for their son and daughter in the university. We need also to be fair in this country, Mr. Speaker. If you are able to pay, pay. So that you allow other Kenyans to benefit who are vulnerable. Why would you pay in academy? You find a parent pays in ECD for 100,000. They take their child to private academy. They pay more than 200,000 per term. When they want to go to secondary, they want a public school like Stare. Like, of course, Mr. Speaker, without bragging, I'm a product of Kapsabet Boys High School, Mr. Speaker. The second president, President Moi, was a product of Kapsabet Boys High School. The fifth president, Dr. William Ruto, was a product of Kapsabet High School, Mr. Speaker. You was truly speaking on the floor. Senator Cherargei is a product of Kapsabet Boys. So you can see my future from consistent from President Moi, President William, and Senator Cherargei, and a number of professionals, Mr. Speaker. This is a way I want to ask parents, if you are able to pay, kindly pay so that we can allow other teachers or other parents who are vulnerable children to access education. And that is my appeal. Number two, on the issue of audit, we need to audit. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we are told Ministry of Education gives out bursary. Mr. Speaker, Wings to Fly by Equity, KCB, and others is okay, because those are individual support. But we need to audit under CDF, how many bursary was given through CDF. Under NGAF, how much was given. Under county, my county, of course, is being run down by Governor Sang, Mr. Speaker. We have never received bursary since 2017. The only time he brings a dummy check of 60 million, they take photographs, they put it on social media, but when you ask, where are these children that are being sponsored through bursary by Nandi County government, you can hardly get one. I have talked to many parents that they have gotten bouncing checks, Mr. Speaker, from county government of Nandi. Of course, there is nothing that is functioning in Nandi County because we are an autopilot. The last time we saw governor is a long time ago. You saw, Mr. Speaker, on Sunday evening after Senator Otsosi's function. I visited Kapsabet County Referral Hospital at around 7 p.m. to 9. Mr. Speaker, if you see those pictures, and I know you are my good friend and you have seen them, the wards of Kapsabet are smelling dead, Mr. Speaker. The lighting is not there, Mr. Speaker. The smell, the dirty in the wards in Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker, is sad. And that is the main hospital of Kapsabet, where Nandi, under Governor Sang maladministration, has received over 60 billion, Mr. Speaker. But what you see, we were passing Kara, Mr. Speaker. Governor Sang had audacity of traveling abroad to see where Jesus Christ was born, where he spent 307 billion on foreign travels alone. But he cannot fix the mess that is in their Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. Mr. Speaker, can you believe the medics told me in confidence that you need to buy gloves, Mr. Speaker. You need to buy masks. You need to buy syringes for your patient to be attended to. All drugs, Mr. Speaker, you need to buy at Kapsabet County Referral Hospital pharmacies, Mr. Speaker. There is nothing that is functional. But Governor, under the Haddock report that was tabled before the County Assembly, decided to buy mass graves in Dalat worth of 370 million. So he has decided not to fix the health system, but to ensure that where people rest, where it is 370 million, Mr. Speaker, in the mass graves, Mr. Speaker. Nothing is functional. So when we talk even about bursary, if you are to audit, and I want to challenge Senator Otsosi's committee to look on this scandal of bursary, where in Nandi County, they are bouncing checks and many people cannot access, Mr. Speaker, the bursary. Number two, Mr. Speaker, we need to consolidate the funds so that we see into the future, Mr. Speaker. We need to ensure we calculate per learner. Mr. Speaker, you heard that was exposed by NTV that there were ghost schools that were consuming 3 billion that did not exist in Baringo, Mr. Speaker, and across the country. The Ministry of Education and ESCC and DCI must tell us why was Ministry of Education spending 3 billion to schools that do not exist. Some of them were in Baringo, Mr. Speaker, and somebody must be held accountable. We cannot be telling Kenyans to pay taxes, yet the same taxes are being lost through corruption and privileges, Mr. Speaker. I want to challenge, even on this issue of audit, we must direct that the Office of the Auditor General does special audit on bursary funds that have been given through NGAF, that has been given through unconstitutionality of CDF, that has been given through county governments. And that report should be tabled back to the Senate under special audit, because the Senate can resolve to direct the Office of the Auditor General to give us special audit on these bursary funds, so that we adhere to Article 53 on the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. So on this motion of consolidation of bursary, let us consolidate entire bursary. Let us make the education to be free from primary, secondary, university, so that every Kenyan child should have a right to access education in this republic, Mr. Speaker, and allow them to be who they should be. If some of us were not beneficiaries of bursary or real higher education loan board, we would not be senators, Mr. Speaker. There are many children that are waiting for General to do a rambase, Mr. Speaker, to do fundraising. Let us stop this politics of tokenism. Let us give opportunity to each and every child going into the future, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy the minority leader is in the House and is in concurrence that we need to ensure every child should go to education, Mr. Speaker, and ask the Ngao that they need to ensure every child goes to education, to the chiefs, the Nyumba Kumi, make sure each and every Kenyan child accesses education for betterment. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion and I thank you.
Senator Godfrey Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also support this motion on consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya by Senator Karungo Thangwa. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very progressive motion, and I know there is another motion by Senator Kamar on the same, calling for the abolition of bursary funds in our counties. Mr. Speaker, bursary was meant for the needy students, needy pupils. The orphans or those students from extreme poor background. But now we are seeing a scenario where bursary seems to be a fund to benefit everyone. And that's why you find in our constituencies, the members of the National Assembly are even giving bursary as low as 2,000 shillings per student, because they have diverted from the initial objective of bursary fund to support the needy student. They are now supporting everyone. They are now using it as a political tool. The money that is being given is just tokenism. Mr. Speaker, there is no school that you can pay 2,000 shillings as school fees. It is more than that. So the net effect of this is that the main objective or the initial objective of bursary fund has not been achieved. The poor students are now at home. They cannot afford school fees because what they are given in form of bursary is not adequate to sustain them in schools. So the idea of consolidation is a good one, so that we can ensure that all the bursary programs that we have, the ones run by CDF, the ones run by NGAF, the ones run by counties, the ones run by the national government, and I think we have another scheme by Jomo Kenyatta Foundation, the ones even run by private institution in collaboration with the national institution, they should all be consolidated into one fund. And this fund should have very strict rule on who the beneficiaries are, so that the needy students who are at home are able to benefit from this scheme, and they are able to undertake their studies without any problem. And how I wish the bursary funds in this country could borrow from a private fund that I know, the Ratanzi Education Fund, which targets mainly needy students at the university level. That fund has done so well. I know I was one of the beneficiaries of that fund, and they really went for needy cases. And they are still supporting so many needy cases in our public universities. So even as we talk about consolidation, the issue of how to identify beneficiaries, how to ensure that these beneficiaries get sufficient funding of their education will be very key. Otherwise, you can consolidate and you end up with the same problem. that we are trying to deal with, the problem of not targeting the needy cases. So this motion is very timely, and I think all of us should be able to support this motion so that this motion now is adopted by our government as a system of allocating bursaries to our students. Mr. Speaker, I have a slight different view on the resolution that in this motion. The motion talks about the Senate urges the Ministry of Education. Mr. Speaker, I think we should not be wasting our time with this kind of resolution. Urges. It means we are, this is just a talk show. We are just discussing here, yani, what a Swahili person would say, ngumzo mtaani. We need motions that talk about resolution. This motion should read, the Senate resolves that the Ministry of Education to do this and this. Because I know from experience in the National Assembly, such motions were never taken seriously by the executive side because there is no action.
Senator Sochi, would you want to be informed by the distinguished senator from Bungoma?
Yes, I would love to be informed by Senator Wakoli.
Honorable Speaker, I would want to inform my friend that the Senate hereby directs, it is even more stronger to direct those people to implement what this Honorable House has said. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mr. Speaker, that is even better. So if this motion we have to fully support it, I think we need to amend it, and I will be seeking an amendment to say the Senate resolves and directs the Ministry of Education to do the three things. Because this is a very important issue, Mr. Speaker, and we cannot spend our time here just discussing a motion that the people will put on the shelf and nothing will be done, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other correction I want to suggest is the issue of involvement of county government. Mr. Speaker, in our committee of CIPIC, we have been reviewing the audited reports for bursary funds in the counties. And I want to tell you, Mr. Speaker, that these funds have been misused in counties. Tomorrow I'll be tabling a set of reports which we have done on bursary funds. And Mr. Speaker, you'll be shocked how this fund has been misused in our counties. And we cannot allow our counties to continue performing a role that is a national government role. Involvement in education matters beyond the low level, the ECD level, is a function of the national government. But we are seeing a scenario where counties are allocating millions of money to bursary fund, and yet two critical functions in our counties, that is ECD and vocational training centers, are hugely underfunded. ECDs are hugely underfunded. The ECD teachers are poorly paid. There is no uniform scheme of service, and the infrastructure is wanting. But you find that counties are now putting money into bursary scheme just to create an avenue for misuse. So, Mr. Speaker, in fact, in our report that we will be tabling, we have recommended that the Senate abolishes the bursary funds in all the counties so that counties can put their focus around vocational training centers which are designed to provide skills to those youth who cannot go to higher education or colleges, but they can be trained locally in those vocational training centers, can have enough manpower to train them, enough facilities, and enough funding. And then the ECDs as well, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to disagree with the mover of this motion for including county government in this consolidation, so that we leave only the national government-related fund in this consolidation. And the county government can only focus on the two devolved education functions of ECD and the vocational training center. Mr. Speaker, we are seeing a scenario in our counties where the CDF bursary has now been made a tool for members of the National Assembly, a political tool, where they go to funerals and even announce there they have given money to students, but they don't mention that that money is from CDF. So I think it's also a high time that we have to look at this matter of CDF very critically. I fully agree that CDF has done a lot of good things in our constituencies, but again, there are loose ends which must be dealt with. And members of parliament should be useful in this regard to ensure that CDF is made constitutional. And I want to agree with my party leader, who has come out very, very strongly in support of devolution, to ask the National Assembly should not be used to destroy devolution in this country. They should be in the forefront of asking for more money to our counties, not denying our counties money for the benefit of CDF only. They must understand that they come from those counties. Those counties need road, they need other facilities, and they can only get those facilities from enhanced funds to our counties. Mr. Speaker, we have another fund that we must also review it, the GAF fund for women rep. They also have a bursary component of that fund. This fund, how it is being used, it's not very clear, Mr. Speaker. Even the bursary fund, it is given out secretively by the Office of the Women Rep. They give out that money to selected students. There is no process at all. These are the funds, Mr. Speaker, which this country must look at and ensure that they are constitutional. If they are not constitutional, they should be abolished, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a wonderful bill, a motion that we should all support with those amendments I have suggested, and the issue of abolition of bursary funds in our counties is a matter that this House must look at, and we have proposed that in our reports, and I hope members are going to support this. I know bursary fund in our counties is also a political tool used by our governors to try and appear like to be giving some social relief to our people. But then the Constitution is very clear that if you want to get involved in national government matters, then there must be an intergovernmental relation agreement between the national government and the county government. These bursary funds that are established in our counties, there is no supporting intergovernmental relations agreement attached to it. And sometimes I wonder why the controller of budget has allowed these funds to run, and yet they are unconstitutional. We have some counties which have even invested in school infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, like West Pokot in the last term. We have, that matter is before EACC, where the county allocated hundreds of millions of money towards school infrastructure, which was never put up, Mr. Speaker, and the funds were misappropriated. This cannot happen without intergovernmental relationship between the national government and the county government. So, Mr. Speaker, a lot needs to be done in the education sector in terms of funding. The issue of university funding is a matter that this House must look at it very critically, because all our universities seem to be having challenges in funding. More university, great university that has produced great people is on the deathbed, Mr. Speaker. Now, University of Nairobi, again, Egerton University, a challenge. Mr. Speaker, I think something has to be done on funding of our university and the management of our universities so that we return back university to those glory days that we saw when we went to the university. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this motion with those amendments that I have suggested. Thank you.
Senator William Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I arise also to support this motion to consolidate bursaries in the country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, most of us went to school courtesy of maybe churches. Like for me, I was partially sponsored by my local parish. Others sponsored, because during our days, 80s and 70s, Honorable Speaker, I don't think there was any bursary because there was no CDF, there was no county governments. So I support consultation, and the reason why I'm supporting Honorable Speaker, so that we make it easy, so that we don't make it political, Honorable Speaker, because there are many students who are at home. There are those who have dropped out of school, Honorable Speaker, because of lack of school fees. And maybe they were not politically, the families did not support maybe a particular politician, and maybe they don't benefit from the bursaries. If what members are saying, the CDF and the county bursaries are used by politicians to maybe reward the loyalist, Honorable Speaker. So it will make sense to consolidate, and then we have a vetting committee to ensure those who are needy, Honorable Speaker, benefit. In fact, Honorable Speaker, what I want to propose is we mob all the resources, put maybe under education, higher education loans board. We change the name for higher education loans board to something that takes care of also primary, not primary and secondary school, Honorable Speaker, because basically from class 1, grade 1 up to grade 9 should basically be free, because we have said it's free primary education. So I don't know why there are still some levies that are levied by the Minister of Education or by the head teachers in primary school, Honorable Speaker, so that we make it compulsory from ECD to grade 9 and also for grade 10 to grade 13, Honorable Speaker, because if you go to most of the countries across, counties across, Honorable Speaker, especially the marginalized counties, there's 7. You go to Turkana, you go to Isholo, you go to Marsabit, Wajir, you go to Mandera, Honorable Speaker, even Garissa, and part of even North Rift, Honorable Speaker, there are many children who are at home, maybe because of banditry or because of insecurity, and they cannot afford to pay. And if the bursaries are consolidated and put in under one umbrella, Honorable Speaker, and we make it free completely up to grade 13, and then also university make it compulsory. I remember 80s and 90s, it was, you didn't have to apply for through higher education loans board to sponsor you. It was compulsory. When you report first year in the university, until you clear third year or fourth or fifth year, whichever course you are taking, Honorable Speaker, you got automatic scholarship by Education Loans Board, and then you are paid a stipend. In fact, we used to get 5,040, Honorable Speaker, that would take care of us a whole semester. Your parents don't have to struggle to support you in the university. And this is what we need to do. We need to go back the way we used to do in the old days, so that our children can go to school without suffering, Honorable Speaker, or dropping out of school. Most of these depressions that we see, children committing suicide, it's because of such things, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as Senator Osota said, it is not the business of the county governments to give out bursaries. The business is to do development. You see currently, most of the counties are paying recurrent, over 70%. Salaries, about 35%, 40%, 50%. So basically, our counties are becoming employment bureaus. Honorable Speaker, we have CDF bursaries, we have NGAP bursaries, we have county government giving out bursaries, we have presidential bursary, Honorable Speaker. What we need to do also is the Ministry of Education, they don't release capitation to our schools, to our primary schools and to our secondary schools. When the financial year lapses or the academic year lapses, Honorable Speaker, what has not been remitted to the schools, they don't remit. So I don't know why the ministry is making our schools to struggle. They need to remit capitation so that they don't use this capitation to, as a corruption entity, Honorable Speaker. In fact, a good proposal that we need to do, Honorable Speaker, is all our primary schools, so that to encourage especially marginalized county children to go to school, is to ensure we have feeding program. The students and the pupils must be given lunch. Honorable Speaker, they given lunch so that they can go to school. Honorable Speaker, I know most of our universities are struggling, as most colleagues have said. It is because of mismanagement. If more universities took loan for Masinda Muliro University, for Garissa, for University of Eldoret, those universities should pay the debt. Why must one university carry the burden for all its children? So basically, those universities must assist more university, or Ministry of Education to assist more university to pay off their 4 billion so that the university can at least regain its feet, Honorable Speaker. This was our second university after University of Nairobi, then Kenyatta University, and then Nikaton. Basically, the others are thriving. This one is struggling. It's almost being closed because of debt, Honorable Speaker. So, Speaker, I wish to end there and say we need to support this program, we need to consolidate, but we take the money to an entity like Higher Education Loans Board, not the Ministry of Education, because we have seen they are unable to manage bursaries themselves, because they have the presidential bursary, there is capitation, and they are doing nothing about it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support this motion, and as colleagues have said, we reward it, we resolve. Otherwise, if it goes the way it is, basically it will be like a talk show, because we are urging. So when you urge, what happens? Because it's like you're baking, but when you resolve as a house, then it becomes implementable, and the house can follow it up to ensure that the resolutions are done. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion, and this is an excellent motion. This motion is not about disbandment of CDF. This motion is not an affront on the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and it is not a battle with the county governments. This motion is about the children of this nation. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is a signatory to the SDGs, and SDG number 4 requires that by 2030, all girls and boys should have access to free, quality primary and secondary education. Unfortunately, Kenya is off track to achieving that goal, despite having Vision 2030, which has similar aspirations. Mr. Speaker, the CS education was here about 3 weeks ago, and you do recall the CS saying that they have not done the mathematics to confirm how much a child will require for training in primary and secondary school. And I thought that was very disturbing, because if you have not costed what it takes to train a primary school pupil or a secondary school student, then how then do you finance? How then do you even ask for a budget? If you look at the current capitation at primary school, It's a mere 1,440 shillings. You can imagine, Mr. Speaker. I know there was a minister who is now a governor who said, what is 1,400 when nurses were on strike? Because he said that can barely cover his lunch at Serena Hotel. But that is what we are allocating to our children in primary school, 1,440 in terms of capitation. And so, Speaker, the CS again told us that when he asks for the budget, he does not get it allocated fully. This country is earning so much money from diaspora remittances. Now, let's ask ourselves, what is this product that is getting us forex from foreign countries? It is labor. And that labor is not just rough, raw labor. It is labor that has been incubated in an education system that this country has maintained since independence, or since the days of colonialism. I went to the state of Minnesota in the US. The gentleman who runs the state health or medical program is a Kenyan. Mr. Speaker, when I met him again, he told me he's now the president of doctors and physicians in the entire state of Minnesota. Then I asked him, where did you get your training from? He told me he went to the University of Nairobi. He got a job in the US and he advanced. It means that Kenya at some point was producing, it was an industrial zone for production of highly skilled labor and highly skilled workforce. But with this allocation of 1,400 per capita to our children in primary school, are we ever going to produce another head of the medical fraternity in an American state of Minnesota? Mr. Speaker, the funds that are scattered all over the place, if you are to put them together, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. That it would be adequate for us to increase the capitation per child. It will be adequate for us to provide the means of implementation towards free primary and secondary education. And the funds are so many. We've got the Higher Education Loans Board. I recently met someone from the University Fund. You've got so many, and each corporate entity, Mr. Speaker, as part of their corporate social responsibility, now they are doing education bursaries and scholarships. And of course, they are very good. For example, Equity's Wings to Fly has allowed a lot of people who would not have seen the inside of a university hall to get to university, to fly, to get job opportunities in the banking and financial services sector. We laud them. But what about these government programs? You find that even the constituency bursaries, in some cases, a child gets a bursary for the first term and has to apply for the second term. It is as if in the first term he didn't have parents, and now in the second term he has parents. A child applies for funding in Form 1, and in Form 2 he has to apply again. There are a lot of tools, Mr. Speaker. There's a lot of artificial intelligence, there's a lot of technology that we can use to be able to map and identify the needy and hold their hands throughout the education journey. Mr. Speaker, this motion, and I've heard even my colleagues in the other house say that the Senate has brought this to fight the CDF program. This is not a fight against the CDF. This is a fight for the children of this nation. If we are going to continue producing doctors, if we are going to continue producing experts in the service industry, in the East African region, you go to Uganda, go to the hotels, go to Serena in Uganda, you will find that it is run by Kenyans. If you go to the financial services industry, Mr. Speaker, I was part of the diaspora who was in the financial services industry in neighboring East African countries. It's Kenyans. You go all the way to Rwanda, people who are running their municipalities and cities and logistics and transport systems, they are Kenyans. You go to England, United Kingdom, the people who are running their metropolitan transport systems are Kenyans. But are we going to continue exporting that kind of quality? Mr. Speaker, I am dismayed that we are now changing our focus as a nation towards training, cheap training at 1,400 per head per year, and then telling our children to be happy with being guards, with being house girls, and with doing manual jobs in the Far East and in Europe. A country's pride must be shown in the kind of jobs that it goes out to prospect for. And Mr. Speaker, it is not a matter of national pride for a president or for any minister to go out and look for any job for my people. There has to be national pride. Kenya has had that hallowed position as a leader when it comes to innovations, when it comes to technology, when it comes to education. And that can only happen, Mr. Speaker, consistently if we provide the means of implementation. The means of implementation for an education system that continues to produce leaders like the one I've talked about in Minnesota would be to have teachers who are motivated. Today, Mr. Speaker, we are told that 56,000 teachers have been recruited by the national government. And when I go to my county of Homa Bay, because I would have assumed that that 56,000, if you divide by 47, at least you'll have 10,000 teachers per county. I cannot find them, I cannot trace them, and I wonder where these teachers are coming from. We must have teachers who are motivated, and we must have teachers who are well remunerated. And that is across all levels, from primary to secondary to university. We must have infrastructure. So, Speaker, our public institutions' infrastructure leaves a lot to be desired. We must have infrastructure that is built at a price that is reasonable and is not another opportunity to steal money through procurement. We must have a curriculum that can stand to the test of international trends and norms. So, Speaker, I wonder why we want to do a customized, homegrown Kenyan curriculum. Why can't we benchmark and pick the best curriculum in the world and expose our children to it so that our children can go and compete with children in the US? And I know that a child who comes from Laikipia, a child who has been born and raised in hardships, if you are to give them the same opportunity, same curriculum that the American students will have, that Laikipia child is going to shine, because he knows that that is his only route out of adversity. Why do we build this curriculum, which I was asking my brother, Senator, for Kitui, because we are parents. My child is in grade 6. Which exam will take him to Alliance? I have no idea. In the past, it used to be the grade 8 exam, which will take you to Alliance, Maseno, take you to Jamhuri, take you to Shimolatewa. I do not know how my son is going to end up at Alliance, or whether he's going to end up at Jamhuri, or whether he's going to end up at Pandipieri Primary School in Kisumu. Because these things are not clear. We are tinkering and playing around with the curriculum and therefore messing up the future of our children and also denying them competitiveness in the global scale. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether our CBC curriculum and our graduates will find it easy to get into foreign universities and foreign institutions. What some countries have done is you take IGCSE, take the American system, take another globally recognized system, just customize it a little so that your children are at par with other children in the world. We also need pupils, Mr. Speaker. And these pupils, even though you are going to provide teachers and classrooms and books, they need to have food in the stomach. And so we must also have a national feeding program for certain areas of this country where food is a rumor, unlike places like Nairobi where food is plenty. And we also need a culture that values hard work. Mr. Speaker, the overnight riches, the overnight arrogance, the overnight transition, the conversion of souls to polls in our political system, Mr. Speaker, it is disheartening a lot of people. Yesterday, people were consistently for the people. Today, they are consistently for the ruling classes. Mr. Speaker, we must build a culture where our children believe that it is only hard work that is going to take you somewhere, not a ministerial appointment, not liaison with those in government. And that is a culture that we are lacking. And so someone can decide to go and procure a degree certificate in a university that does not exist, and then you can go to court, and then they compromise the court, and then they are in office. What then motivates a child to go and get a university degree genuinely if he's seeing the rich and powerful have acquired degrees of dubious nature? Mr. Speaker, the last means of implementation is finances, and this is what this motion is calling for. And Mr. Speaker, I support this motion, and I hope that we can have legislation. This country, we know what should be done. We are just too lazy to do it. And sometimes we are lazy to do it because we want to get rents from some of these things. We were told a story about ghost schools when Mwai Kibaki started the free primary education. Mr. Speaker, the scandal of ghost schools when Mwai Kibaki started free primary education, if you read that report, you'll be alarmed. How billions of shillings were siphoned to private accounts. People just established virtual schools and were sending money to them. We hope that those bad things are not going to happen. We must tighten the accountability and transparency mechanisms to ensure that every child is entitled to free quality education as required by SDG number 4. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join my colleagues to support the bill on consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education. As you are aware, pursuant to Article 53 of the Constitution, every child has a right for basic education and to access institutions. However, today, as you look at, if you look at across Kenya, there's so many children that don't even go to school. The schools may not be even there because of the situation where they are, especially in the pastoral areas. Many people lost their animals, and the children have fallen out of pastoralism. They stay in the rural areas, and they are not able to access school fees. And most of them drop out again. After falling out of their own livelihood, they again drop out of schools because of lack of fees. Honorable Speaker, bursaries actually money is available all over. Not only the NAGAF money, not only the CDF money, there's presidential bursaries, there's the governor's bursary, churches are paying money, and many other foundations are paying money. But however, the money that is being paid by all these institutions hardly reach the really needy students. It's mostly compromised. It's been full of nepotism. That's the only privileged students are managing to go to school. Those students who have no tall fathers and tall others relatives hardly see this money. The bursaries for the CDF is so much politicized. Honorable Speaker, what happened is, and I've seen it in my places, the students have been told, go and bring the voter's card of your parents. Go and bring the ID card of your mother. And when you tell a child that, you must produce a voter's card, then I think it's a very unfortunate situation, and that should not be allowed. Because that money comes from public coffers. That is a taxpayer's money. And there should be no conditions for a student to access bursaries. One other thing is, Honorable Speaker, the money that is being given to students that are going to university, if you pay a university student 3,000 shillings, honestly, that's a joke of the day. It doesn't make sense. It's better for that student to stay without that money. It's not even enough to keep his upkeep of even paying him for lunch. So much money is being spent. If you see what the governors are paying, they have a voluminous list. And then you see 3,000, 3,000, 5,000. So you wonder where this money is being taken to. So I think there's no shortage of money, the way I feel. The system is corrupt. The system is poor. There's no proper modalities to follow. Now, we are saying that we have to do the business of CBS. I don't know this, what do you call it, the new system, the curriculum, CBCs. And everybody is supposed to exit. Students are not be exiting. Now we have millions of Kenyans, young children, who are going through that program. And every child is going to exit, going to the universities, going to high school. And the funds have not been prepared for them to school. Their own money is not even available sometimes. Then you're telling us that everybody must go to school, must go to university. It's a very good idea. But there's no systematic programs that when the students are existing from the high school to universities or from the primary to university to high school, funds should be available. The infrastructure is so poor, there is no problem. The JCC, the junior secondary schools, in my place, honestly, most of these things don't even exist. There are no structures. So I think the education system is almost collapsing in this country. It's just because of poor management and hurrying. Things have been done hurriedly. It's been hurried. I don't know what is the essence of changing the curriculums every 10 years. As I said, we are now producing and school students, the people. Because if the teacher is not there, the child goes to school, the entire week maybe he sees one teacher comes to his classroom, then he's not learning anything. Because I am not saying it's everywhere in Kenya, but I know at my backyard, those kind of problems are there. Honorable Speaker, what I think is this program of consolidated fund is actually a very crucial thing. It's very good. If you take an example of like the Equity Bank, the Equity Bank wings to fly. It's actually a classic example that the system, that kind of system should be followed. Because Equity Bank, what they do, they go and visit the student's home. After they finish their primary school, they do their KCBC, the child home is visited, anybody they want to help. And they get to know the child's background. I think that's the kind of system that will be able to work. And we have seen actually what Equity is doing is a wonderful job actually. I'm really impressed that they are able to access every part of this country where Equity Bank is. And this fund now, like CDF money, it is there everywhere. But the procedures being followed is just protocol. You only look for the person who voted for you, the mother who voted for you, whatever, maybe your next of kin. And then what these things are being given, not even the MPs who are doing this. Actually, it's given to a committee. And everybody has a friend, and everybody looks for a shortcut for his parents and his relatives and friends. So what I'm saying is we need to consider this fund. We need to have to develop a proper system so that these people can be able to, the student can be able to go to school and get fees for the schools. University system now, this business of, categorizing now university students for funding is actually also one thing. It's confusing. There are no systems. Somebody just sleeps in the night and wakes up in the next morning because maybe I don't know whether he dreams at the night or what, and say this system should be followed. These things should not be done. This is actually we're compromising our education system. I think Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that what I'm saying is that one other thing is we don't even know how many of our students are people going to school. How many of them are in primary? How many are in secondary? How many are in universities? Because if we're able to do a census, proper census, because what's happening is, even in the primary schools, because they're being given some money according to the number of students, it is exaggerated. The students' numbers are increased. You will see when students are going for their KCB, and when they're going for their Form 4, the KCC exams, most of them are not even there. Many students are not even there. That shows that even the principals and head teachers are exaggerating the number of figures so that they can get some money, extra money for their other uses. So I think before we do anything else, we need to first do a proper census for all the students, right from class 1 on ECD classes to universities, so that we know how many of our children are going to school, so that we can be able to do proper planning for education. But as it is now, actually there are a lot of gaps that need to be filled. Honorable Speaker, one other thing now we have seen, the prestigious universities in Kenya, they are falling, all of them are failing because of corruption. Everywhere you're hearing, the staff are not being paid, professors are not being paid, there's so much discouraged. And then universities are not giving proper education systems that are required today, and they are not delivering to the students. This actually is a result of many, many corruption going on, and therefore we need to look into the whole system of education system in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, one thing is the teacher-child ratio, especially in primary schools, is not actually properly done. You see, some schools are so much overstaffed. And then you'll see in one school, like my place, you will see only the principal is actually an employee of TSC. The rest are BTA teachers. They are not trained. No, what we're telling is if the teachers are not enough, the CBC, what do you call the Board of Management, teachers employed by the Board of Management should be trained. They should be taught the methodology and over these things so that the Ministry of Education should give education to those teachers until when they will get employment. As it is now, we are only employing even the Form 4 failures. So because there's nobody to teach the child in schools, like in Northern Kenya. Teachers are not there. So I mean, for them to fill the gap, TSC must take responsibility of training teachers. And they should even train the POG trainees, the employed teachers. So that because at least what they are teaching is our children then, again, that must get a proper education. So I'm saying this country actually needs a real look. Totally, we must be able to audit ourselves as a country to see our education system so that all the students can get. With those few remarks, I beg to support the motion. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
Bwana Spika, nasimama kupatia hoja hii, kuunga mkono hoja hii. Bwana Spika, nchi ya Cuba ndio nchi ambayo kila mtu hapa duniani anajua wanasomesha watoto kutoka level ya kichekecheo mpaka university bila malipo yoyote nchi hiyo ya Cuba. Bwana Spika, ni kitu gani ambacho Cuba walifanya ambayo sisi hapa Kenya tunashindwa kufanya? Bwana Spika, haya mazungumzo ambayo tuko nao katika hoja hii yanaelezea kwamba pesa zipo, kwa sababu zaidi ya thuluthi moja ya bajeti ya Kenya inaenda kwa upande wa elimu, lakini pesa hizi zimegawanyika, zimetapanyika kila mahali. Wizara yenyewe inatoa, unasikia kwa president ipo inatoka, kwa magavana ipo inatoka.
Senator Mungatana, when this motion resumes, you'll have a remainder of 13 minutes to make your contribution. Honorable Senators, it is now 1 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 4th December 2024 at 2:30 p.m.
Not require a person to integrate or share data relating to A, trade secrets, B, private or personal data on behalf of customers or collected in course of business, and B, in paragraph B, in the proposed new subsection 5, by deleting the words 500 and substituting therefore the words 100, and B, in the proposed new subsection 6, by deleting the words 500 and substituting therefore the words 100. This amendment is seeking to provide for a commensurate penalty for the offense committed, which in failure to comply with the notice given the Commissioner, the proposed penalty was 500,000 shillings, which the committee found to be too punitive. So we are reducing that to 100,000 shillings, and also to exclude the need for integration of data for trade secrets and other private information, so that entities like hospitals do not have to declare or to give KRA access to medical records, or for multinational or for trade companies, things that, for example, like their trade secrets. Yes, and it's important, Honorable Chair, to also pronounce myself that I'm moving this amendment in the amended form, not as per the order paper. And that's why we are amending now. We are now introducing A and B in paragraph A, but omitting C. So C is not part of the amendment I'm moving, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that clause 7 be amended as proposed by the chair. The Honorable Undo.
Chair, I just want the chair to go on record once again, because in clause 7A, number C, in the case of multinational companies, information relating to the parent company, he has indicated he has moved it in an amended form, excluding that C. For record purposes, it needs to be very clear that that particular section has been omitted, so that we'll have no confusions here, because if it is retained, then we are trading on dangerous grounds, considering that we have got the, he has dropped it. Yeah, let's just go on record. We have no doubt about it.
Yeah, for the record, he said it, that it is A and B, and C has been dropped. So, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 7 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now put the question that clause 7 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clauses 8, 9, and 10.
I propose the question that clauses 8, 9, and 10 be part of the bill. There be no amendments. I now put the question that clauses 8, 9, and 10 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
New clause 1A.
Please go ahead and move second reading.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 1A be now read a second time. This is an amendment to the Tax Procedures Act, hereby referred to as a principal act, that is amended by inserting the provision for multinational agreement or treaty that has been entered into on or by behalf of Government of Kenya and made pursuant of such agreement or treaty relating to those tariff, Honorable Chair. This is to protect our local industries from multinational, so that they have preferential treatment better than the multinational entities that operate in Kenya.
I propose the question that new clause 1A be part of the bill. I propose the question that new clause 1A be now read a second time. I do not see any interest in this. You can say something. Majority Leader.
Chair, I support and considering, Honorable Speaker, that Kenya has signed quite a number of bilateral and multilateral trade agreements. For instance, the African Free Continental Trade Area, you'll find a lot of competition coming from other countries like South Africa and other countries in the region, Honorable Speaker, and therefore this amendment seeks to protect our local industries from unfair practices by companies in the region. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
I propose the question that new clause 1A be read a second time. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I propose the question that new clause 1A be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 1A be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Chairman, you have an amendment in new clause 2. In clause 2.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 2 of the bill be amended in paragraph B by reading the words whose turnover does not exceed 1 million and substituting therefore the words whose turnover does not exceed 5 million. This is one of the issues that has been a great debate, especially for farmers, for tea farmers, for avocado farmers, for macadamia farmers. So we are now exempting them from the need for ETIMS and providing for what we call reverse invoicing, Honorable Chair. And the reason why we are talking about 5 million shillings is because 5 million shillings is also the VAT threshold. So we are putting them at the same VAT threshold like all the other VAT businesses, so that those that do not have turnover less than 5 million shillings do not require to be integrated. And therefore, that sorts out the challenge that we will have with the dairy sector, with the tea sector, with avocado farmers and all those other farmers. Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. I would like to start with the Honorable Wakili Moreu because he has an amendment which was proposing a deletion which is going to fall if the one for the chair goes through. So Wakili Moreu first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had brought this amendment on clause 2 to be deleted, bearing in mind that this is what you call a reverse invoicing. And reverse invoicing, Madam Speaker, has not been used in this jurisdiction. However, I think I want to agree with the chair of finance that it is a better replacement of the ETIMS which previously was charging the avocado farmers, the macadamia farmers, the banana farmers, and all those other small-scale businesses and farmers, whereby they were obliged to raise an invoice before they sell their products. And therefore, the reverse invoicing, as proposed by the chair, Madam Speaker, I think it satisfies my amendment, and I wish to drop the amendment. We allow the vendors of goods and services to be the ones who are invoicing the suppliers, invoicing the farmers, invoicing the avocado farmers, invoicing the poultry farmers, the macadamia farmers, as opposed to where the farmers are the ones who are raising invoice. However, Madam Speaker, allow me just to echo.
Thank you, Honorable Moreu. You are not debating. You are doing it very well, but you know this is the committee of the whole, and you have agreed with the chair. Thank you very much. So now can you go on record and drop your amendment? So your amendment is dropped.
Much obliged,
Thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Honorable members, I now propose. Yes, Majority Leader, 1 minute.
Chair, I support that particular amendment, and as I said yesterday, by the Chair, Honorable Kimani Kuria, that this is in response to the quantitative and qualitative public participation that we spoke about. Therefore, those who have been speaking in funerals and weddings and rorashios, pretending to be speaking for avocado farmers, for small-scale traders, instead of speaking in funerals, and you can see they are never in the house. The chair of the Finance Committee has done what the public were asking. And indeed, by raising the threshold, even to the same threshold with VAT, he has addressed that qualitative aspect of public participation, and I must thank the chair and support.
I'll give a chance to the Honorable Rundiki, the Honorable Member for Buri, now that he's in the House.
Thank you, Madam Chair. By
Make
raising
it 1
the
minute.
threshold,
Make it 1 minute.
by raising the threshold from 1 million to 5 million, Madam Speaker, we are accommodating the thriving businesses, majority of them who are startups and small-scale entrepreneurs. Madam Speaker, if we put them on the same scale on the VATable criteria, it means that majority of our upcoming businesses, more so among the women and the youth, will have now opportunity to grow their business. I support the amendment.
Honorable members, in the interest of time, I now put the question which is clause 2 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. No amendment, so I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, I would now like to call upon the mover to move reporting. Honorable Leader of Majority.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Tax Procedures Amendment Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 46 of 2024, and thereof with amendments.
Thank you. Honorable members, I put the question that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Tax Procedure Amendment Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill of Number 46 of 2024, and its approval with amendments. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable members, we will start with the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, number 2 of 2023. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Senate amendments to the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2023, and approved the same without amendments.
Very well. Mover of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah to second this motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
I second.
Very well. I will then propose a question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I will defer the putting of the question on that report. We will then go to the next, which is the Tax Procedures Amendment Bill number 2, number 46 of 2024. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Tax Procedures Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2024, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Tax Procedures Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2024. And I also request the Honorable Donya to second the motion.
Honorable Doris.
They've even denied me to second. Oh, it's here.
Be on record.
Oh, yeah, I must be in record to second this. Thank you very much. I second. I second.
Therefore, I will propose the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Tax Procedures Amendment number 2, Amendment Bill number 2, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2024. Again, we will defer the putting of the question on this report. Order, members. The upstanding member for Kwale. Honorable members, and the time being 1:15 p.m., This House stands adjourned until Wednesday, 4th December 2024 at 2:30 p.m.
I think we're actually live this time. I'm Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com, and welcome to another live video here on YouTube. And we'll see if we get this working. Should be coming through clearly. All right, making sure we're okay. So I'll give people a moment to come in. We should be live and working right now. But the reason I wanted to make this video is because I get really one question. Actually, I get a lot of questions, but I get one particular question over and over and over again from students. And this is, how can I actually speak fluently about many different kinds of things? Well, haro. Hidoyo sore. So a lot of people, again, they can understand a lot of English, but they have trouble expressing themselves, and especially if the topic is new or unfamiliar or something, then they have trouble being able to speak. So I wanted to talk about this because in a video I did a couple of, I think, what was that, last week I did on Instagram, I spoke with a few learners, and one of them in particular was talking about how she's reading lots of books and taking time to improve her English, but she doesn't feel like she's actually becoming more fluent. And so fluency, again, just to make this very clear for people, this is how well you can communicate. It's not how much you know. And we know this because often little children, 4, 5, 6-year-old kids, native English speaking kids, can communicate better than many adult English learners. And so the goal is not to just try to learn more and more and spend more time learning. What you really should be doing is actually focusing on vocabulary, because this is how people get fluent. It's how you got fluent in your native language. It's how you develop mastery in anything. So I had a couple of notes. Actually, there are quite a few things I want to talk about. All right, so we got, let's see here. Hopefully, hopefully the volume is loud enough too. Let's see. Welcome from Germany. Nice to see everybody. I want to be quick, go through a couple of different examples about this just to make the point about how you can actually speak fluently about almost anything. But also just to let you know, this is not like an instantaneous process, but it really actually does happen quite quickly if you start doing the right thing. So that's what we'll talk about in this video. So I wanted to talk about this again. I mentioned the learner at the beginning, but also just because I really want to show how natives are learning and remind you about how you learned your native language. So I had my, actually before I do that, let me give you a quick example of something, just to kind of contrast these two ways of learning. So the typical, we'll just call this the ESL approach. So this is English as a second language, and then we have the EFL approach over here, which is learning English as a first language. And what most people do is they spend a lot of time trying to learn as much vocabulary as possible. So imagine each one of these is a new phrase. So if you spend today trying to learn 10 new phrases or 10 new words or whatever, the EFL approach, really you're trying to focus on one thing and learn it very deeply. Okay, this is basically the simplest contrast between these things. So children, they will often be learning something like a child will watch the same movie, 100 times. So they are just naturally getting lots and lots of review, while most English learners are trying to just, and again, it's not really the fault of learners. Part of it is your brain just trying to get you to learn new things, and part of it is teachers that are really not spending enough time focusing on things. And so they will learn something new, and they will learn another new thing, and then they will forget other things that they thought they knew. So before I talk about exactly what you should be doing and give you some examples of this, I thought it would be interesting to just use a brick example to get you all thinking about something very simple like a brick. So just imagine I have a brick right here. I want you to write down in the comments right now, just think of how many different ways you can use a brick. All right, so very simple object. You could do the same thing with a marker or an eraser or something like that. But how many different things could you do with a brick? All right. This will help you get thinking more like a native speaker about vocabulary, because what we want to do is get you focusing on something rather than trying to, we look at one way a brick could be used and then we go to some other object. All right. So ARC just popping in. Look at that. Keep up the good work. Here we go. So yeah, everyone take your time and give me just any kind of use. You can put it right in the chat. How could you use a brick? All right, just think, try to be a little bit of creative. You can think about this as a creativity. Let's see, you could build something, okay? So even if we have only one brick, I mean, obviously if we had many bricks, we could probably build a wall, but yeah, we could build something, we could make something. That's true. It could be the like the first piece of a wall. We could throw it for sure. You could use it as a weapon if you wanted to, throw it as something. Yeah, it could be a bridge. Yeah, maybe like even a bridge, a small bridge for a mouse or something like that. So if we put, I don't know, something under here and then we have our brick like that, it could be a little bridge over some water, something like that. So we could probably think of, I don't know, 30, 40 different uses as a supporter, sure. So you could put something on top of it. You could sit on it, that's right. You could use it as a chair, very good. So we could also, so again, we could put things on top of it, or we could put the brick on other things, like using it as a paperweight. So things, maybe if it's a windy day, we put the brick on paper to stop it from blowing away. I don't know, maybe we throw it in some water to make a loud splash, just to hear the sound of that. All right, I don't want to spend too much time in the video going over all the different ways you could use a brick, but the point is, if you think a little bit about it, you spend just a little bit of time thinking, you can probably think of some pretty creative uses for a brick, okay? And then we also have we could have different kinds of bricks. You could have like a Lego brick where you got your little pieces in there, you're connecting it to something. Or it could be maybe made out of plastic or something, a different kind of brick. Or it could be a different color, maybe you just use it as a decoration or something. All right, so why am I bringing up this example? The point of this is really just to show you the difference between what learners are doing, so what teachers are usually doing in classes, and what natives are doing, all right? So I was walking my older daughter, Aria, to school today. And while we were walking, she said, "Dad, what does harsh mean?" Harsh. The word harsh. All right. Let's see. Do you think pay attention at native English mouth can help you with pronunciation? Yes, if you're watching what people do, but listening is more important. And it's better to listen to like 10 different people speaking than to try to watch one person's mouth, if that makes sense. So Aria, my older daughter, asks, what does harsh mean? And I said, oh, where did you hear that? And she said, oh, I was watching a show, Boss Baby. Maybe you've heard of this show, Boss Baby. So there are actually a lot of complicated words and expressions. It's really a show for adults, but because it's a cartoon, kids like to watch it. But she's learning lots of interesting vocabulary, and so one of the words that she learned was harsh. So she's asked, what's harsh mean? And so I said, okay, where did you hear that? You're watching Boss Baby. What's happening in the scene or in the show when you hear something or someone use the word harsh? So I think like one character, and these are, I don't know, babies or whatever. I didn't see the show, but just listening to her talk about it. So one character is kind of like yelling at this other character. Maybe we'll give him like an angry face. And the other character says like, don't be so harsh. So this is one example of this. So don't be so harsh. So what's happening here is, okay, if we imagine the scene, we can think about one character as being angry at another character, and they're saying some harsh words. Some harsh words to the other character. And you can start to understand what harsh means, or kind of one example of what harsh means. But after she kind of understood this, it's like, okay, it's maybe kind of something maybe a little bit mean, or something difficult, or something hard to deal with, something hard to accept, something that's harsh like that. But I didn't stop here. As we're walking to school, I start giving her more examples of harsh. And so you might have, we'll just put some more examples up here. Here, I'll just leave this. So we might have some harsh weather. Now, if you think about it, okay, we understand this meaning of harsh, then if we have harsh weather, do you think that's like good, pleasant weather, or maybe not good, pleasant weather? and a child can imagine, oh, wow, it looks like there will be some harsh weather today. There's a snowstorm and lots of wind. So that's what we mean by harsh weather. Harsh weather. All right? So you might have a harsh storm, or we could have a harsh season. Again, we're still talking about similar kinds of things here. But again, the point is that we don't stop with just one example of something. We really want to make sure that you can understand that vocabulary very well. So when I'm teaching my own kids, we spend time with the vocabulary. Yeah, so bad weather, again, harsh weather, the same kind of thing. And you understand it from the situation, from the context, rather than trying to get a definition or a translation of the word. So this is why I asked my daughter, like, when did you hear that? What situation? What's happening to those characters when they say that? Because I want her to be thinking about that when she's learning new things. Again, it's going to be much easier for her to understand new vocabulary this way. So we got harsh weather, harsh storm, harsh conditions. All of these things, they mean something that's difficult or it's going to be bad. And again, we already have the example of harsh words. Someone might use some harsh language. Maybe they're cursing at someone, they're angry at someone. Does this make sense? Is it starting to be a little bit more clear what harsh means? You've probably heard this word before, but have you heard all these different uses of it? Maybe, maybe not. But this is usually what natives are doing. So they don't learn, like, I'm actually very efficient about how I teach my kids because I understand how they should be learning. But usually what children do is they will hear maybe one example of something, and then it could be weeks or months later they hear another one. And they make that connection. So I want to help my kids make that connection as fast as possible. Like, look at that. Here's something harsh. Here's another thing that's harsh. These are all different harsh examples, so they understand very well what it means. Okay? So this is just one example, but I wanted to give some more, especially kind of higher level things. But remember, just because the vocabulary looks simple, you might have a word like harsh, and it seems like a short, simple word, like, okay, that's not an advanced word, but again, in a real conversation, would you be able to use harsh in these different ways? Would that vocabulary come to your mind automatically? If you learn this way, it does. So if you could think, wow, like harsh, and now because I have this word and because I know it so well, I've gone deep into the vocabulary. We're going to focus on something rather than trying to learn a bunch of different things. So remember, the traditional ESL approach, we have a lesson. I try to teach you 10 or 20 words or something, but we're not going to go very deeply or spend much time on them. And then next week, there's no review of any of that vocabulary. So you're learning a few things, and then you don't spend time reviewing them. But with the EFL approach, we really want to take something and go deep into that vocabulary. So we learn the word harsh, and then we want to hear lots of different examples of how the word might be used. And it's all of these examples that really make you fluent in that vocabulary. All right? Now, here's the amazing part about this. Now that you do this with one word, you can use this word when you're talking about other things. Like, don't judge me so harshly. So people are being critical. They are criticizing you. Hey, like, you know, this is a bad presentation or something. Like, wow, whoa, don't be so harsh. Please give me some kind, helpful feedback, okay? So again, it's another example of like harsh feedback, harsh words, harsh language, and this is just one example, okay? So when I'm teaching my kids, this is what I'm trying to do. I don't want to give them a definition of the word. I want to help them understand really what it means by covering lots of different things. Does this make sense? Let me know in the comments if this is like, yeah, so rough, another idea. And these are all kind of similar because often words don't have maybe one definition, or the definition might be broad, so it could cover many different things. But in this way, my daughter Aria now understands, okay, harsh means something difficult. Wow, that test was really harsh. Or that was a difficult thing, okay? So the point here is, if you want to be able to speak fluently about almost anything, you actually should do the opposite of what most people think. So the English as a second language approach says, if we try to learn all these different vocabulary words, let's say we have like 1,000 word vocabulary, and if we try to learn a whole bunch of words or try to learn more words than that, then we can talk about anything. But what happens is that they don't actually know very well the vocabulary, and so they actually can't have conversations about anything. They can have a very limited conversation about some things. But the EFL approach, the English as a first language approach, what we're doing is really trying to help you understand something very well, and then you can move on to the next thing. So once you feel confident about this, then you move on to the next word or phrase or whatever. But because you know this so well, now you can use it when talking about everything. You can use it when talking about relationships or going to the doctor or whatever. You now know that vocabulary and you can use it when you're talking about almost anything, okay? So the point is not to know every word. The point is to know like the vocabulary that you have very well. And the better you know it, this is how you do it. So you're getting lots more examples. You're really trying to understand something very well. Hopefully this is making sense. Let me know in the comments if everybody is getting this before I move on to some additional vocabulary for this. All right, yes, you could have some harsh parents. That's true. Let's see. Alfonso asks, so I just want to know if it is possible SO who is fluent in English be able to express one's thought on all topics. Yeah, but do you see how this works? So now that I know the word harsh, I understand how I can apply it in different topics. Okay? So if I just learn the word harsh and a definition, maybe I'm only thinking about harsh weather. All right? But actually harsh doesn't only mean weather. That's not, harsh doesn't mean that. It's meaning, like, as you look at all these different examples, you can understand what that means. Yeah. 長よから？見えないけどね。長よからよね。よかったよ。Yes, use your English though. Use your English. ガリゾーのね。ガリゾーのね。I was just watching that this morning. That's from a Japanese TV show called Hanakappa. If I'm talking about the same, if we're talking about the same thing. But yes, that's kind of a harsh name over there. All right. All right, hopefully this makes sense though. So the idea again is to focus on something to understand it very well, and that's how you can use it to talk about lots of different topics. So you can use this vocabulary and other things. All right, let me give you two more examples of something. So this is just a single word, but I thought I would also give you two other ones. I know learners love phrasal verbs, so we will talk about that very quickly. Phrasal verbs are things that young kids learn when they're trying to understand more complicated things than just a single verb like stand. We might have stand up, or we might have sit down or sit up. So again, we're not just looking at sit, because if we have sit, we might have sit down, and we also have sit up. So sitting down just means to sit down in a chair, but sit up means actually to have correct posture when you're sitting, all right, to sit up. But let's just give another example of bring up. Now, usually when kids are learning these things for the first time, they will hear somebody using a physical, visual example of something. So if I say, oh, I might bring up, like if I bring up a marker, I'm going to raise something up. So if I'm maybe walking from the first floor in my house, we're going to draw a house here. It's got 2 floors in it, and then here's some stairs. So if I walk from here up to the second floor, and I'm carrying something with me, I'm bringing up a thing. I might bring up a marker from the first floor, all right, to bring something up, all right? Yes, all right, we're getting there, we're getting there. Very good, Minda. But again, this same idea, we begin with something physical that you can see, and this is how kids are able to understand the vocabulary without using translations. All right, so we're going to physically bring something, so pull it from one place to another to bring it up. Bring it up. All right, and so we might